Let's open up mine. Number 2.
Oh, yeah.
I say. My screen has no
What?
icons.
Has no what?
Icons. It's the Lopez and Moosecow show. It is Boxing Day. Christmas is officially over, so it means we can go back to being the miserable bastards we normally are.
Damn straight. Always a good thing, by the way.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Too much happiness is not good for anyone.
That's what we're told. Although I got to admit, I had quite a lovely lunch today. Went out with an old friend to a place called Los Amigos. Fantastic little Mexican restaurant here locally. And I got to tell you, it was everything in my power not to walk into the place and just go, Lopez, just to see how many heads would turn. Instead, I opted for a chimichanga and called it good.
Yeah, I may have to do without the little icons, but who the hell cares? Right,
I think they know which is which by now. At least I hope so.
if they don't, there's no helping them.
True.
At this point, if you can't figure out that I'm Mitch the Ripper.
That's right. Just screw with them outright.
It's more fun that way, honestly.
Oh man, I should have prepared and made coffee, but I'll go with what little remnant I've got left.
Right now, I need to add a doodad because
Add a doodad.
Yeah, it's always nice when the people who are watching can see what we're talking about. So a copy there.
Well, that's true.
And then we will add a web page, which will be this web page.
Hey, Gunny, how you doing?
It's Gunny.
Well, they're sort of aliens. Oh, there we go.
That's actually a
There
little
we
bit
go. All right.
too big.
I see it popping up here.
Actually
I got to tell you, the chimichanga is still making itself known. It's really good. I haven't had a chimichanga that good in quite a while. Plus, I just love to say chimichanga.
I think
But
we're now pretty obvious what we're going to be talking about for at least some of today.
Oh yeah, the freaking Darwin Awards.
It's been a good while since I've looked at this site. I forgot to look last year because it's sort of like end of the year, beginning of the year, every year I try and have a look at the Darwin Awards, see who've been idiots this year. The one thing I'm disappointed is there isn't a category that says all of social justice.
Well, that would be rather a comprehensive list now, wouldn't it?
Either that or a very huge umbrella.
I mean, we'd have the bike law college professor. We'd have Yvette Falarka. Anyone who's got a name in social justice, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We'd have a God, what was that? What was that university that where they pulled Lindsay Shepherd in for the Inquisition?
Oh yeah.
Laurier.
Wilfred.
Hey, Diz.
Wilf Laurier University or something like that.
Yeah.
And the worst of it was I was just watching a video about it only a couple of hours ago and I can't bloody remember it.
Oh,
it sounds right. Yeah. It sounds right though.
Me too. Yeah, it was something. Yeah, it was Laurier, I believe.
I believe
Laurier, whatever. It
Lo-
might have that bizarro French pronunciation.
it's L'Oreal because I'm worth it.
It's Brute by Fabergé. Just to do a little Eddie Murphy reference there. What do we want to do? Switch? Do you want to switch back and forth reading these things?
Yeah, we can do.
Okay.
Might as well do them in order because, well, shall we
Well,
start? Shall we start with the Grim Rufus scene? As that one kind of had a few spoilers for us anyway. Because I tried to bite my
yeah.
tongue on it until we got going.
Well, yeah. I figure we should go. If we go by the scores, oh no, let's just go from the bottom up.
Yeah, because if we go
It'll
by the
be
scores, we've kind of got our own little countdown.
all right. All right. What do we flip for it, or should I just read the Grim Roofer again?
You go with the Grim Roofer.
All right. Let's see. March 2017, England. What's that smell? A burglar removed a few roofing shingles and climbed into the roof of a chemist shop in Queensbury. On his way down, the man became stuck and was strangled by his own clothes. The asphyxiated pill seeker was found several weeks later and well into decomposition.
I can see why that one has
Ah,
no voice, no votes. That was just there's no actual fathoming what the hell he was thinking. I mean, at least usually with the Darwin Awards, you can kind of get an idea of what the idiot who got themselves killed
well, yeah,
was
like
actually
the guy.
thinking. What they aimed.
Yeah,
There was,
you could see. I mean, here you obviously the guy was looking for drugs,
yeah.
but so that's. I mean, that's I don't know. It's somehow different if it's a criminal endeavor in my head because like when way back when you had the guy who tied all the helium balloons to his lawn chair, floated up, and got so high that he froze to
Yeah,
death.
yeah.
I mean, you kind of you could see where the guy was trying to use a little bit of imagination, and so it's a little bit different. I don't know why. It just strikes me differently.
There's an extra layer of stupidity as well to this one though, because it's a chemist shop. They know that they've got pharmaceuticals in there, and they know that there's a black market for all of this stuff. So you
Oh
would have
yes,
thought the place would have been a vault anyway. There would have been like a layer in the ceiling to stop people from, unless they've got cutting equipment with them, they ain't getting through
right.
because it's just that extra
Uh,
layer of protection to keep things safe. So simply cutting through the rafters or whatnot was never going to do the job anyway.
so it could removed a few roofing shingles, climbed into the roof. He didn't actually
Yeah.
get it. It sounds like he didn't actually get into the shop.
No, you just got as far as the roof and ended up in like.
I mean, it's not like they had a pair of legs hanging down from the ceiling for several weeks. And then someone said, "You know something, Bob? Things smell a little fishy in here."
Do you know, Ethel, I've never seen that new light ornament work.
Like, why, yes, Carl, I've noticed it ever since those legs appeared in the ceiling. All right,
uh,
what's our next one there?
I'm just hoping that this will scroll through the ways. The next one apparently is Pistol of Justice.
Is what?
It's called Pistol of Justice. April 2017, Argentina. Divine punishment, said the judge, deciding not to imprison a man who shot himself in the testicles while carrying an illegal weapon in his waistband. The man lost his family jewels, his job as a security guard, and was faced with years in prison until the court ruled that he'd been punished enough by a higher authority. instant,
Armageddon.
instant karma. Reported widely in two major newspapers, the Clarin and La Nation. Tact requires us to withhold the name of this living Darwin Award winner. Jobs are scarce in this man's town, with Buenos Aires, and the unregistered 45 caliber Colt pistol has been given to him as part of his security job, creating a tragedy within a tragedy. The shooting occurred about 2 years ago. The final court decision occurred in April 2017. Although this was reported on April 1st, my contact, Luis, fuck your name, assures me that Argentina celebrates Fool's Day on December 28th. I had to make sure I read that properly because it would have sounded really stupid if it said celebrates April Fool's Day on December 28th.
Right.
Because that just would have made no sense. Or all the sense in the world, depending on which way you look at it. I'm sure that must be a lot more common, though. Firearms discharging in people's holsters.
In a holster, it's a little bit different. I mean, it's less likely to go straight for the crotchticles.
Yeah, but you can see what's happened. He had his gun out to do whatever it was he was doing with his gun and just tucked it in his waistband.
Yeah.
Which everybody sees everybody do in the movies. Most people, I'm surprised they don't blow themselves a new asshole, because one of the favorite ones is they tuck it in the belt in the small of the back.
Yeah, true. But maybe it's not that unusual, because I once heard of a couple of guys, or some cops who went on a bust of some kind, probably a drugs bust.
Gunny says, I worked with a guy that nailed himself to the roof by the ball sack with an air gun.
I just hear a high-pitched voice going, get it out, get it out. Oh, man. No, these cops returned from a drug bust, and one of the cops has to take a shit. So he goes into the stall and he removes his firearm, for obvious reasons. But he still had it. He still had the hammer back and a bullet in the chamber, and he goes to hang it by the trigger well on the on the coat hook that's in a bathroom in a restroom stall. And in so doing, he depressed the trigger enough to fire the chambered round, and this was a semi-automatic weapon, so it cycled the next round into the chamber and kept firing on the hook because of the recoil. He's got all these other cops come rushing into the bathroom with their guns drawn. Oh, man. But at least, I mean, the one about the cops, he didn't kill anyone or himself, or he certainly didn't nail himself to a roof, or send his berries on a long distance journey either.
I mean, that's the thing. How the hell do you nail yourself to a roof?
Took
2 hours for
EMS to show another 3 hours to. How does it take 3 hours to remove the nail?
Never heard of a claw hammer.
Yeah.
Obviously, the EMTs have got no experience with building anything ever.
I mean, if I would imagine they try to get on the inside of the roof, and if nothing else, try to get in there with a hammer and bang the nail back up.
Ow, 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 ow.
Unless it was embedded in like a 2x4 on the other side of the roof, and there's sorry, pal, we're gonna have to break out a torch or something.
We're gonna have to a circle around us.
Around that nail head.
Just take him off like us. Just on a big circle of roof. Carry him down, still kneeling.
Oh my God. I bet that guy got employee out of the month just out of pity. Someone took a picture of him and put that on the plaque, under like a 1/4 inch of lacquer so it's there forever. Oh my God. Freaking humans.
Nailing yourself by the nuts to a roof. Oh my God, if you really sat and thought about it for too long, you'd have a year's worth of jokes out of that.
Oh, no kidding. It's too
Oh,
easy.
he nailed his balls to the roof. Oh, is that why he's still shingle?
That's why he's got shingles. Oh, God. All right, well, that leaves me with which one? Let's see here.
503 server overload.
Oh, yes.
Ooh,
Let's see. 9 April 2017, France. Locked in his bedroom by mom, a French man leaves by climbing down the Ethernet cable. At 1:30 a.m. in Rouen, Ruin probably would be a better name, a 47-year-old man attempted to leave his room by climbing down the Ethernet cable. He chose... Okay, this, I don't know if this is a pun or not, but it's written as he chose this router.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to read it correctly. He chose this route because his concerned mother had locked him in his room to prevent him from intoxicating himself. Being heavier than a few gigabytes. Okay.
The puns are awful. Yeah.
Yeah. His weight was too much for the cable, and he crashed to the street from the 9th-story apartment. The doctors could not resuscitate him. Yet, wouldn't he have found another way to remove himself from the gene pool? Okay, there's an original submission link here too. I wonder what that is. Some readers say a common sad alcoholic may not merit a Darwin Award. For this one, I do not see a Darwin Award. I just see a poor man. Alcohol can become bullshit.
Oh, this is a bleeding hearts in the comment section by the sound of it.
Let's see. He was the fastest reader in France. 9 stories in 2.1 seconds. 401 forbidden to ignore laws of physics. Luckily, he didn't choose the Wi-Fi cable.
Ooh.
Malformed header. Okay. Fastest download speed before the router crashed. 100% packet loss. He passed 5 cats on the way down. I don't think the cable was Cat 6 UTP.
Oh, God. And continuation of the man nailed to the roof.
Oh, God.
Guy was screaming and wouldn't let them do what had to be done for him. They cut a 4x4 square piece out of the roof's sheeting.
Wait, is that 4x4 inches or 4x4 feet? I mean, imagine if it was 4x4 feet, the guy would basically, if you found 2 stones, he could have an instant bench anywhere he went for the rest of his life.
I could just imagine if it's a 4x4, they have to put him on the back of a pickup and just stand him there in the kneeling position. I think it's some kind of sort of prayer statue going to a church somewhere.
Well, it was on a roof. If they were using some sort of a hoist or a winch, not a winch, but like a crane to lower him down, it could have been they just, slap cables on each side. Yep, there we go. Feet. 4x4 foot square. They just slap cables on either corner, on the 4 corners, and boom, the guy gets a ride down. There's no extra damage done. Unless he went crashing through the wood and tore his scrotum off completely, but left the testicles dangling there. It would be like being out in a rainstorm without a raincoat.
Well, Gunny, generally there's a 20-second lag on a stream anyway, so that's nothing unusual.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Ooh.
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe Gunny's story's funnier than most of these.
Yeah, as well. It certainly brings a tear to the eye.
That's not always a good thing.
No. Well, not for him anyway.
Oh, looks like the next one is Hashtag elephants want privacy.
Oh, it looks like I've got. Right, let's. Elephants want privacy. 18th of February 2017, Zimbabwe. Three male humans, three male elephants, and a dream of a perfect wildlife selfie combined to win the first 2017 Darwin Award. In the town of Plumtree in southwestern Zimbabwe, Mr. Moses Ndlovu, I don't know, too many vowels, too many consonants, not enough vowels.
And
Mr. Moses spied three elephants in a bush. I'm sure that's a joke.
Shrubbery.
Shrubbery. We would like a shrubbery. This will not do, he thought. And he and two friends began to drive the three male elephants into a clearing. The elephants cooperated in a fashion. A large bull elephant and two younger males came charging out of the shrubbery and headed for the provoking men. It was time to test the old truism. I don't have to outrun the elephant, I just have to outrun you. The men took off running, each frantic to save his own hide. Moses, lagging behind, was trampled to death by the angry bull while his friends escaped. The entire blunder was a pointless waste of time for the man and beast. I'm sorry you're dead, Moses, but what were you thinking? As a consolation, your lamentable death serves as a warning to others. Hashtag elephants want privacy. I've got to admit, these Darwin Awards are usually better than this. There must have been a slow year.
Yeah, really. I mean, there's only 6.
Yeah.
Let's see. Gunny writes, he rode on top of the truck to the hospital with 4 firemen holding onto him.
It had to look like those sedans with Caesar on his sedan being carried by 4 slaves. Just give him a laurel and away he went.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And then 3 weeks.
3 weeks later, he cut all his fingers off with a chop saw.
So he saved the meat and 2 veg, but they was no longer able to play with them.
Yeah.
Oh, the left hand. Well, he might have been left-handed. I don't know.
Still, if he's got his other hand full, all he's got left to scratch with is a hook.
And that's never going to go well.
Oh, God, no. What's that leave? That gives me which one? One-way ticket.
We got one-way ticket and airstrike out.
Let's see. 21 March 2017, Germany. Blasting apart a ticketing machine at the train station was supposed to buy him a ticket to the good life, but instead the 31-year-old purchased passage in the opposite direction, losing his life in an explosion that ripped the metal front panel off the machine. The details are, he stiffened his resolve with a few drinks at a bar. He was spotted spraying cans of aerosol gas into a ticket vending machine. He placed the empties in a jute bag, and then he ignited the gas by means undisclosed, causing an explosion that rocked the Dortmund neighborhood. A bar acquaintance recognized him and called for emergency help, but, sprinkled with shrapnel wounds and suffering substantial head injury, the man rapidly succumbed to death despite resuscitation efforts. Safety measures as simple as wearing a leather jacket and motorcycle helmet would have changed the outcome for Mr. One-Way Ticket Out. That's not even funny. I mean, yeah, it's an idiot.
It is sheer stupidity. I mean,
but
there is a certain level of genius to it as well. He just needed some sort of remote detonation device, and he'd have been good.
Yeah. I'm afraid I was right when I said Gunny's story is funnier. Yeah, it certainly is.
And now we see the problem that happens when you look into websites on supposedly funny news articles without reading them, just taking them Well, apparently
yeah.
we've got one more left for the 2017 Darwin's airstrike out. 25th of March 2017, Mexico. Lopez!
Lopez.
Standing on a truck in an airport runway, our double Darwin Award winners, Nitzia and Clarissa, chose a regrettable location for a cell phone selfie. Miss Corral, 18, and Miss Miranda, 17, were attending the horse races that were held on the track adjacent to the runway. According to the Diario de Chihuahua,
Chihuahua.
the noise of the races and the desire for a new profile picture distracted the young women. They did not hear the motor of the descending aircraft, and the wing of the small plane struck and killed them instantly. The incident occurred in Chinipas, Chihuahua, in northern Mexico. People wake up to the plain hard fact that a mobile phone is a deadly distraction. Mobile devices take away our awareness from the physical world, and the Darwin Awards archives are stuffed overflowing with testimony, providing the tragic truth of this. We mourn the deaths of two beautiful and lively young people cut down with such a careless mistake. Cell phones will kill you. Put them away and allow your senses to receive input from tangible reality. Please share this regrettable cautionary lesson as a public service announcement. Hashtag Your Death Matters.
That's.
I actually like that hashtag. The next time hashtag Black Lives Matters, Black Lives Matter comes up, I'm just going to reply with hashtag Your Death Matters.
Manuel Labor is a Mexican bandit, according to Gunny. Yeah, these aren't that funny. I thought they'd be funnier.
Usually they're better.
I mean, we'd get more comedic mileage out of looking at people of Walmart.
Oh God, that's horrible.
I know.
It's brilliant, but it's horrible. It's just very disturbing. It's kind
Yeah,
of.
and the fact of the matter is, I'm looking at it now.
iPhone shocker. Plug in your iPhone and drop it into your bathwater, and suddenly, coroners are demanding warning labels. There's too many warning labels.
Holy shit. Oh, God. No, I can't even look at it anymore. I'll kill that window. All right. I mean, there's a reason I don't go to Walmart. And just to be at home, on my time and look up those people, forget about it. But I do have to point out I read this in a Time magazine one time in the letters
Yeah.
section, where some atheist had written in their letter, if you don't believe in evolution, you've never shopped at Walmart. I gotta say, there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, it is true. There are some. Oh my God. The equivalent of Walmart over in the UK is actually called Asda. It's owned by Walmart. Same thing, different name. Although it does tend to be mostly food. They don't have so much of the
Junk.
Well, I don't know that it's junk, but they don't have like the fishing and hunting section. They don't have the bike section and all that sort of stuff. I mean, they do have like the electronics and stuff like that, but they don't have the broad selection that Walmart tends to. And oh my God, that place is open 24 hours a day except for Sunday. And the most interesting times to go in are in the dead of night or very early in the morning.
Yes. Yes, I've been to Walmart in the dead of night. Holy shit. I was there, it must have been about, I don't know, anywhere between 1 and 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And there was some mental defective trying to cash her Social Security check. She couldn't have been more than 22 to 24 years old.
Yeah.
And there was some problem with the check or with the system they used to verify the check or
Yeah.
whatever. But they were having troubles getting it cashed, and they needed like 2 more forms of ID or something. And this girl, a full-grown adult, and this is why I say she's how did I describe her? I don't know. She was
22
a
to
mental
24. Yeah.
defective. Yeah, this mental defective was actually stamping her foot. She wasn't shouting or anything, just stamping her foot. And then she calls her father and says they won't cash my check at Walmart, as if he's going to fix it from home. What the fuck is he supposed to do? Why you just let me talk to that lady at the register and I'll get this
I'll
straightened
put
out.
her straight.
Yeah.
Now you listen here, Missy.
Now don't make me come down there.
That's the thing I've
Bullshit.
noticed.
God,
People are so goddamn entitled. They think that any problem that goes wrong, that any establishment, be it Walmart or Target or whatever it is, should have a policy specifically written to tailor to them.
yes.
That will. Well, I'm Princess Stephanie, therefore you should have a solution. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it don't work that way.
I'm really kind of getting tired of this. It's kind of that same mentality. I mean, because Walmart has some weird policies about returns and whatnot.
Yeah.
Their policies basically enable thievery. The same way that any corporate policy at like a gas station or a convenience store, where they tell you to just let the crook get away with the money. Well, no, you're just gonna let people get away with shit so you can make an insurance claim? No, fuck
The
you.
most baffling thing that
That's
it's
that's
it's
that's
it's really stupid. Over here, they do have the 24-hour gas stations. And I've been to the 24-hour gas stations during what is the night shift. And the weirdest thing is during the night shift, they have the most terrified looking 19 or 20-year-old girl who, if somebody said boo to them the wrong way, would shit themselves and go into the fetal position under the counter.
right.
Seemingly on her own in a gas station. And you're thinking, that is just so prime for anybody with 2 brain cells to rub together or more. Well, probably more because otherwise they point the gun in the wrong direction.
Oh
To,
yeah, no
to
kidding.
come and just point something that looks like a gun at. I mean, yeah, policy is give them what they want because the way the companies look at it, money can be replaced, a life can't.
Right. No, Boons, and how you doing? I'm not saying it's easy to steal from Walmart. I'm saying that their return policy enables thievery because you can essentially shoplift and come back with something, and a lot of times you don't need a receipt to return it. It just has to be something they carry in the store. And I find that rather annoying.
Yeah, it's really easy to do because I actually legit did buy something from Walmart over in America once. It didn't work, but I got rid of the receipt had gone. So it was just a case of all I did is I went in and says, I bought this from you guys yesterday. And it says, well, can you prove that? I says, I don't have the receipt, but the lady over on cashier number 3, what was the lady doing on cashier number 3? That's a whole different story. The lady on cash register number 3 was the one who I paid for it. She'll recognize me because, of course, being over in America with a British accent, I kind of stand out like a sore thumb anyway. So I'm memorable.
Correct.
And it just happened to work out. Oh, yeah, I remember you. I came through, I bought this out for you. Oh, yeah, you did. I remember you doing that. Yeah, that's good enough for us.
I see. I've worked the graveyard shift at a gas station, and when my shift came well, it was just me, so it really was my shift. Lock up the door, sit behind the bullet resistant glass, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Work with the intercom where you can't make out a fucking word that anyone says. The fucking intercom at a drive-through worked better than this thing, and they would never replace it. But yeah, I had one guy coming up, and he came up, and was like, "Hey, some Woobas." I'm like, "Pardon me? Woobas? Can I get some Woobas?" And I'm just fucking boggled by it.
Going through a list of
And
everything in the store, what sounds like that?
well, yeah, I'm doing a mental inventory, seeing if I can match anything up. And it turns out what he wanted, what he was saying was, "Can I get some rubbers?" And I'm thinking, shit, man, I didn't call them. I stopped calling them rubbers when I was 11.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I love Gunny's message here. I don't know whether he's disappointed or proud. My
Probably
ex-wife
a
worked
little both.
nights at a gas station and was robbed. She shot him 4 times and didn't kill him. Like I said, I don't know whether he's proud or disappointed.
I think he's proud of the ex-wife, but disappointed in the ammunition. I mean, it's not like she shot at him; she shot him. Different things entirely. And Boone says, so we get someone to work at Walmart, quote unquote, buy something, and then come back and ask for a refund. Sounds somewhat easy. Something like that. I mean, it's enabling behavior, saying let them take it, or oh, you
Yeah.
don't need a receipt to return anything. It's just, oh God. And this is why we have a nation full of entitled idiots. It's because no one's holding anyone accountable. You know what I like? I like it when the two old ladies working in a convenience store confront the robber and break wine bottles over his fucking head.
That's one thing I've always noticed. You do not piss old ladies off because they're more vicious than anything on the planet.
Well, yeah,
They make honey badgers look tame.
pretty much. But it just boggles me that you let people get away with it. Of course they're gonna fucking keep doing it. It's insane. Lopez, how's it going, fuckwad? No,
Okay,
that one's all you, man. Oh, you probably can't see it yet, can you?
it's strange. Normally when something goes through in your chat, I get it instantly. There seems to be a little bit of lag going on today.
Yep. Oh yeah, in Philadelphia, bulletproof glass is now racist, according to the mayor. So store owners are now being fined $500 a day for every day they keep it up. I've got
Why is it racist?
I've got two words for that, mayor, and the second one is you.
I'm just interested to see why it's racist because my mind immediately went to it handicaps black people robbing stores because
What?
it sets up a means of failure. And of course, we can't have little Johnny failing at anything because he's been brought up as an entitled little prick.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see just exactly why the mayor says that bulletproof glass is racist.
Well, yeah. It's just again, that's
God, I thought it
enabling
taught
behavior.
better than that.
Well, if she wasn't a disappointment, she wouldn't be your ex-wife. It's annoying though. It's just more enabling behavior is all that is. God,
Why would you want to remove bulletproof glass? I don't get that.
I mean, shit, I don't necessarily want every convenience store cashier armed because I've worked with some of these people. Okay, a lot of them seem to have a permanent mental haze. All they have is just this thing going around their head, going.
Well, to be honest, it
That's
seems
all
to
they've
be that
got.
the night shift workers at most convenience stores and stuff like that Their only qualification is a pulse and the ability to stand there looking vacant. You do not want to put a gun in the hand of somebody like that.
You know, between what Boone's and Gunny are saying here, Boone says because BLM/Antifa needs to take things easily, and the glass makes it harder. Gunny writes, blacks feel feel like bulletproof glass is discriminatory. And here's my thing. What are we gonna do next? We're gonna make all the buildings easily flammable too? Just so Antifa has something to set on fire other than garbage?
Blacks feel like bulletproof glass is discriminatory. How fucking racist.
I didn't know that the bulletproof glass could issue a statement.
Well, the thing is that immediately assumes that all robberies are committed by black people.
Yes, it does.
So therefore, any black person going up to a convenience store and buying a packet of cigarettes is potentially an armed robber. Whereas if any white person, what does bulletproof glass privilege white people somehow?
Well, yes, you see, all you have to do to negate the effectiveness of bulletproof glass is to whip out your white privilege card, and the bulletproof glass will shudder in terror.
Your white privilege card in your left hand and your Colt 45 in your right, and the bulletproof glass is go on through, Mr. Bullet.
Yeah. Are you a white bullet or a black bullet? Why don't we just make it illegal to lock your doors too? You know, because God forbid someone should try to break in through a skylight and cut themselves on the cutting board with a knife on it when they fall through the roof.
Now, I've never been sure. I've never been sure whether that is actually an urban legend or whether it's truthful or not. The fact that if a burglar breaks into your house and doesn't break the window properly and cuts himself on the way climbing through the window, he can sue you.
I do know that in California, when I lived there was a case where a guy was breaking into the house, and the homeowner woke up, caught him halfway through the window, retrieved a baseball bat, and started beating a guy about the head. And, you know, of course, the burglar backs out of the window and starts running down the street, but the homeowner gave chase and hit him a couple more times.
Gotti, how long is that video? I haven't got your chat open either, Mitch, so if you could copy that into Poppycock and Boulder Dash for me. If it's a short enough video, I'll put it on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, working on it. There we go. The thing is, the homeowner in that story I just relayed was prosecuted. Never caught the criminal, but they No. Sorry, I clicked the wrong thing. They did prosecute the criminal, but they prosecuted the homeowner as well for battery. And I say bullshit. The video's 3 minutes long.
3 minutes ain't that long. I was going to say there's going to be a 30-minute video, I'll get copyright striked or whatever, but a 3-minute video we should be able to get away with if we make it small enough.
Hopefully. But it's that kind of bullshit. It's that kind of... Our legal system enables that kind of bullshit. Hey, Wolfie.
Mr. Wolfie. Wolfie.
You know, and I'm the first guy to say that that suspects have rights. You know, that we have due process for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it could just as easily have left that homeowner alone.
Oh, what the hell happened
and
there?
The legal system could then focus on the criminal, the actual initiator of the criminal act, and you know, maybe figure.
I think you gave me a partial link there, Mitch. It's all right. I can fix it. It's just the W's missing.
Ah, okay.
That, and I made a mess of putting it into my little window anyway because, yeah.
But you know, the legal system could focus on the guy who initiated the criminal act, and then you know, instead of giving him like a 2-year sentence, give him give him a 1 year and 11-month sentence
this.
for
A controversial bill
for his trouble with getting hit the extra couple times with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Because fuck that guy, to be honest.
Here we go. I don't know whether you'll be able to hear this or not.
I won't, but yeah, I will.
bill in Philly would force business owners to take down bulletproof glass. The Philadelphia councilwoman pushing this move is apparently concerned that the security measures hurt shoppers' feelings, saying, quote, "We want to make sure there isn't this sort of indignity, in my opinion, to serving food through plexiglass only in certain neighborhoods."
Fox News contributor Denise Borelli joins us now with her reaction. How do you even know if a business has bulletproof glass? You can't tell the difference.
Yeah, well, this is just ridiculous. This councilwoman's priorities are totally twisted. This is about the safety and security of the employees in these high crime areas. And who is she to come in to dictate to these small business owners, these mom and pop stores who can perhaps only afford these plexiglass or bulletproof glass to protect their employees? Who is she to come in from the government and say, you shall do this because we say so? It's outrageous.
And by the way, the owner of this Broad Deli, who they want to take the glass down from, says the bulletproof glass in the store was installed after a shooting, and it saved his mother-in-law from a knife attack a little bit later on. So, I mean, is there a chance that these people just want to survive and thrive? Rich writes this. He's the owner of a deli there. He says if the glass comes down, the crime rate will rise and there will be lots of dead bodies.
Yeah, and he makes a great point. I mean, the criminal knows that there's no plexiglass there to protect the employees. It makes it easier for them. You and I ride in taxis in New York all the time. They have plexiglasses in some of these cabs to keep the driver safe. There's only a little slot for them to put the receipt through for you to put your credit card through. But listen,
Does that make you feel bad?
But going back to the PC culture, that's what we're witnessing here. It's ridiculous. And, you know, her response to the owners is for them to provide security cameras and security personnel. Well, the plexiglass is there because maybe that's all they could afford. And again, who is she coming from the government to dictate what these small business owners should do?
I'm sorry, but security cameras are not going to stop a bulletproof glass.
Nope.
Is.
Not at all.
Borelli, thanks so much.
Thanks, Denise.
you.
Yeah, I paused that with about 3 seconds left.
Oh, well. Got it.
That's just ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. Take the bulletproof glass down in certain neighborhoods because it hurts the residents' feelings. Well, if they don't want the feelings hurt, they shouldn't be robbing shit. There's a neighborhood should be doing what used to happen where I used to grow up. If somebody was being an asshole and doing things that they shouldn't be, like robbing somewhere, the whole community used to come together, and it was basically punishment by community.
Well, yeah.
It wasn't even punishment. It was just sort of everybody would just come together and they'd be basically shamed.
Yeah. The good old days.
Yeah.
God, it's oh, fuck me. What is this councilwoman's fucking deal where she wants to enable this kind of behavior? You know, who pissed in her Cheerios?
Drinking too much social justice Kool-Aid with a watermelon.
You see what Gunny's writing there?
We had a guy here being attacked by 3 guys firebombing him in his house. Oh, God. He goes outside, fires warning shots. The cops arrested him. Not the guys that threw... Well, to be fair, a warning shot is actually illegal. It depends whether he fired it into the air or into the ground. If he fired it into the air, that is a federal offence. If he fired it into the ground, then it's no harm done.
I don't know that it's a federal offense. It might be a felony.
I don't know which one it is, but it is actually against the law to fire a bullet into the air.
In the air, yes.
So that might have been what they got him for.
Video. He had the attack on video, and they gave him 4 years for menacing with a gun. Oh, God.
That's ridiculous.
That's more time than any Catholic priest ever served for fiddling with a kid.
If anything, that just goes to prove that they want as many people in the system as they can, because as soon as that guy, for firing a gun, wherever he fired that gun, whether it was the ground or the air, to scare off the people throwing firebombs at his house, as soon as they got him in the system, he started generating them money.
Well, it's not just that, but it's another soft target.
Yeah.
Because this guy was apparently not someone who would let me see here. How do I phrase this? This guy was probably overall a law-abiding citizen. This is probably someone who did not have ill intent. And yeah, someone starts firebombing your place, shoot. I wouldn't have done warning shots, to be honest. I would have shot to kill.
To be honest, him doing a warning shot was actually what's the word? My brain isn't working. Was a courtesy.
Yeah. Especially after, you throw a Molotov cocktail at a house, there's a pretty good chance that the guy's house is in need of a paint job at the very least.
Hang on, the guy who got firebombed got 4 years. The guys who did the firebombing got 2 years suspended. That is not right.
Yeah. No. This is what bothers me. They have, 67-year-old farmer, no record at all. Sounds about right to me.
I mean, if this is what pisses me off about the feminists. They're all about protection and making the victim feel better. Now, here is a genuine victim.
Yes.
And they don't give a flying fuck. Nobody does. He gets harsher sentence than the people who are actually committing a crime and putting his life in danger got.
Well, see, that's why I chose my words carefully earlier. It's like when they in the States when the state decides to send an inspector into a convenience store to see if, or no, they don't send an inspector. They bribe someone who's underage to go in and try to buy cigarettes. And if the cashier sells them cigarettes, the store and the cashier get fined. And I'm thinking, well, hang on a second. Who's initiating the illegal activity here?
It is that's a huge gray area, really, isn't it?
Well, no, they work for the state, so they have qualified immunity, which is bullshit in itself. But these things happen in a
you're bending several
kind of manner.
Yeah, but you're bending several laws there to even get the kid involved.
Right.
There's child labor laws for one. There's corruption of a minor because you're getting him to go and break the law.
Right. Well, it's either going to be someone who's underage or someone who looks underage. But I've seen it done where it's people who are underage.
Yeah.
And it's absolute bullshit. It's just the state looking to generate revenue.
Oh man! So it wasn't just the guy with the gun in danger. There was 2 other people in the house as well.
Yeah. So there you go. Again, someone who's doesn't have a record, is not a career lawbreaker. So they're going to go after him because he's a soft target. It'll be easier to get money out of a soft target.
Yeah.
It's easier to get money from a pile of traffic tickets than it is from solving serial murders.
Yeah.
That's very much how our system is. That it's all about generating revenue for the state. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you.
I mean, fair enough. If he did fire his gun into the air, then yeah, he committed a crime. He does need to get a slap on the wrist, and I do mean a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
But beyond that, no, that's absolutely wrong.
Absolutely. I mean, if anything, what they've done to the guy who wanted to not kill someone is a criminal act. What the state did is a criminal act.
Yeah.
We got to find a way to hold the state accountable when shit like this goes on. You know,
I mean, you
people
would
need
have thought that they had at some point a system that was a plan system that did work to do just that, and somewhere along the way it's lost its teeth.
Well, in a lot of cases, see this sounds like this case that Gunny brings up sounds a lot like there was discretion of the officers investigating the incident involved.
Hmm.
You know, because police officers have discretionary powers.
Oh yeah, I mean,
You
I've
know,
had plenty of
they
times where I've
didn't
been
have
pulled
to
over and
charge
should have
this
got
guy.
a ticket, and the guy has turned around and said, "Well, I'm not going to give you a ticket this time, but watch your speed or whatever."
Yeah,
I mean,
because
that's his
police
discretion.
officers police officers can exercise discretion. And if their sense of discretion says that we need to charge the 67-year-old farmer with menacing with a firearm, well, because he was protecting his home, his property, his family from three assholes with Molotov cocktails, then there's something wrong with that cop.
Well, yeah.
And that cop's going to stay on the force because of the police unions.
I mean, granted, if the weapon was fired in the air, then yeah, fair enough. He should have been hauled in and got a slap on the wrist, and that was about all he should have got. You know, you really shouldn't fire that in the air. So, right, $200 fine.
Oh,
At
you
which
see
point, yeah,
this?
fair enough. You got me there. Fair cop. There's your $200. I'll make sure to either fire at them or in the ground next time.
There's in Poppycock and Balderdash. I gave you that link that Gunny sent or posted. I can't speak the language.
Well, I'm actually quite lucky I managed to figure XSplit out today because I spent all last night drinking. Rolled in at 9 a.m. this morning after discovering I'm one bottle of Jack Daniels lighter than I started the day. So I'm surprised I'm managing anything.
Oh God, there's a terrible static. It's from a security camera, so I imagine you can mute the video while you play it.
Yeah, muting that.
Look at this asshole.
Ah. I mean, nothing accidental about what he did there. There's no way that intent
No.
can possibly be mistaken. I do wish these security cameras went to film school. Learn how to center a shot properly. That one's better.
Oh, they do improve. I'm watching it in a separate window.
There's a dog wandering
I'm
around.
a
What
little
the
bit
fuck?
ahead of you. It's fucking daylight too, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you can see there's three of them.
I'm just on the porch at the moment.
God, I gotta say, they look like they really didn't go in with much of a plan.
No, they actually look like a bunch of kids going, "Oh, let's throw some of these around here." He's got a load of junk in his backyard. It is scary
Yeah,
that
still.
Gunny's right. It is scary that there's just people like that literally give no shits.
Yeah.
To them, it was
Oh, they're
just a
dressed like
laugh.
Antifa. Well, except for the blue pants, they're dressed like Antifa. Jesus Christ. I was kind of hoping for video of the guy shooting, but that'll come later.
How long is it? It never came.
God, that's frustrating.
Yeah, I mean that was just people being dicks. It didn't even look like it was coordinated.
Gunny says they wanted his property. I don't know what kind of property. Are you talking about his land or his
Oh, they were trying to drive him off the land.
or his effects?
If they wanted his effects, it didn't exactly look like the most secure places. They could have just picked it up and walked off with it. So I'm assuming they mean
Yeah.
they wanted the building and the land.
Well, either way, if they're just looking to steal stuff or chase him off his land, he perfectly justified in what he did.
Oh
The
yeah.
homeowner. Any court that doesn't judge that way is corrupt. This is what we need to. We need to start holding these people accountable. I'm not talking about the criminals necessarily. I'm talking about the corruption within the system. We got to start holding them accountable.
I don't at this point
we
I'm
gotta
not even sure it's corruption. I think it's just a money grab.
That's corruption. People.
But to my mind, corruption usually involves one a small group of people benefiting from it. This is just, it's a system that just it's a self-perpetuating money generating system, and the more people you feed into it, the bigger the dollar amount is.
Well, yeah. This is a case where if it's this case, the locals have to figure out what law the system claims that the homeowner violated, and they need to not change that law, but eliminate that law. See, this is the thing. We don't want to change the law in some of these cases, or in most of these cases.
Well, no, because a homeowner has got a right to defend his property.
We want to do away with the law. We want to get rid of the law entirely. Yes, judges are accessories after the fact.
Well, it's like I say, with that one, there was absolutely no ambiguity as to what was happening there.
No, it was 3 assholes, some gasoline, and some bottles.
There was no reasonable doubt that it could have been accidental. That was blatant. Right. And with no regard for the lives of the people who were in the property.
Exactly.
And how they got 2 years suspended for that.
Fuck, I don't know.
The only thing I could think there is if it is somebody trying to get the land off of people, they're obviously hired thugs by somebody who's got influence.
Yeah, possibly.
That's the only reason that had happened. Yeah, that's the only reason why that had happened in my mind.
Someone decided that it was a good place to put a mini mall or something. And then, the judge is going to invest some money into that property, to make a big score at the end. I don't know if that's the case, but I could see that happening.
It does certainly sound feasible.
It's like I said on American Reality, we have a legal system and a government that has demonstrated time and again their willingness to engage in questionable, if not entirely illegal behavior. For step one, stop acting surprised. That's the first thing that people have to do, is stop acting surprised when you find out that an official is engaged in something shifty.
Oh yeah, I mean this.
Like when the whole thing about the when the big news story broke a couple decades back about the Catholic Church and all the fiddling about with the kids.
Yeah.
People would get on. Back then, it was more forums than it was chat rooms or YouTube chat or anything like that, or Facebook.
Yeah.
People were getting on forums, just being, I'm just got this gut thing. This behavior is just reprehensible, and it's stop acting surprised. It'd been going on forever.
Yeah,
stories would pop up.
I can understand outrage.
Then it turned out to be a big thing.
Yeah.
And the Catholic Church was never charged with a criminal conspiracy.
No.
And they damn well should have been.
This this is kind of, I mean, with the last elections, I could have voted in it if I wanted to because I've got the passport, but it's sort of like, I'm not living over there, so it's not right of me to cast a vote. But the thing was, out of Hillary and Trump, I actually wanted Trump to win, and gladly he did. Because if he didn't do anything else, he would walk into the White House and flip the tables.
Yes.
And hopefully the flipping of those tables the ripples may have gone out far enough to affect some of this stuff and stop some of the nonsense and corruption that's going on in the legal system and all that other stuff as well.
Oh God, I hope so, because
Maybe not immediately. It might take a
because
decade or two to get there, but
because law enforcement does fall under the executive branch. So there is some stuff he can do there, but
yeah.
I believe the president's jurisdiction does not extend to local law enforcement. But we have a situation like when President Obama had the beer with the homeowner and the cop. President Trump I don't think, would go have a beer with people. I think if he saw some hinky shit within the system, he'd say this hinky shit has to stop.
Yeah.
This hinky shit's not going to happen again, is it?
Although I do think his hands are somewhat tied in that respect. He can see this shit that needs to stop, but before he can stop it, he has to come up with something to replace it.
That's a lie.
Well, I can see with the justice system, you can't just outright get rid of the justice system. You have to find a way to.
No, I'm not saying get rid of the justice system.
It's just it has to be altered.
It was after the tarmac thing and Comey not deciding that charges shouldn't be filed against Hillary Clinton, where that whole type of conversation was going on, and I quite rightly, in my opinion, obviously pointed out that because there's talk about the FBI is worthless, blah blah blah, and someone got around to saying get rid of the FBI, and I made it perfectly clear, no, we do need an FBI, but we don't need this FBI.
Yeah,
we don't need this FBI that's gonna not prosecute when they're having secret meetings and they're basically shilling for a political what's the word?
One-upmanship.
Candidate. Yeah, that's the word. Because that's essentially what was going on. They were oh yeah, the sheriff is the ultimate authority in the ultimate legal authority in the county.
Yeah.
And that's the wonderful thing about a sheriff is almost 100% of the time the sheriff is an elected position.
Yeah.
That's why I prefer a sheriff to a police chief. Because a sheriff is more likely to uphold the Constitution.
And their ass can be kicked out if they're not performing.
Yes. Absolutely. That's the beauty of it being an elected position. And honestly, if I were sheriff in my county and something like that happened, and it was the city police who were involved in that particular arrest, I would be investigating the city police.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even be quiet about it.
That's the problem is they tend to try and sweep too much under the rug, and that's why nobody trusts them.
Oh, exactly. I mean, hell, I know exactly what I would do. I would get my list of names and addresses when it comes to the city police, basically my list of suspects, and I would take it to certain people I know within the YouTube community. I'd say, hey, I need you to investigate some of these people for me.
Yeah, because I mean, the press is kind of worthless now for doing that, because that used to be the way it went. Is you'd go and talk to the press, but the press are Well, does it fall with our narrative? No, it doesn't. Right, we're ignoring this one.
Exactly. Plus, you can't. I'm sorry, but you cannot trust any organization to investigate itself. It has to be done externally. It absolutely has to be. Yeah,
As
and yeah, and even I'll admit I have a bias, but it's not an anti-cop bias. It's a pro-Constitution bias. If I'm investigating something like some of these doings, and I find where they have not upheld and defended the Constitution, then I'm going to damn well call them out on it.
Mike.
Oh yeah, micro. It sounds like you're rubbing your foot against the table leg, and you got a boom mic connected to the table.
Well, that's because I was actually altering it and then trying to reposition the pop screen.
That shit's frustrating, you know. And this isn't complicated stuff if I can fucking talk about it. You know, but our citizenry has chosen to be blind.
Well, there is a certain point where you can legitimately understand where it began, the gripes of movements like Black Lives Matter. It's not because the police are racist, it's because they're not transparent.
Well, that's one part of it, yes, and I don't think they should always be transparent.
Oh no, of course not. But
clear, because when it comes to with your investigation, you pollute a jury pool.
Well, yeah, but if you've got a guy who's shot a suspect and there's questions around it, making a public thing about saying, yes, we are investigating it, yes, we are doing this, yes, we are doing that, and then keeping things updated without really giving away any details that could corrupt a jury. Even if it's just once a week, you say the investigation into the shooting of John Smith is still ongoing. We have followed several leads and we've got several more to follow. People will be happy with that because then they know it isn't just being swept under the rug.
Right. The problem is these investigations can take a lot of time, especially when you're sifting through documentation, because that, holy shit, you got to go to 4chan and mix some of those people with some people with autism to sort through some of the documentation. The documents are a bitch.
I mean, people hate 4chan, they hate 8chan and things like that, but I see both of those sites as extremely valuable. Almost on WikiLeaks level of value, if not more.
Actually, yes, because the group Anonymous too.
I don't know about now, but when they first started out, definitely.
Well, because I mean, they there was the whole thing about the local high school football heroes raping some girl at a party, and the police swept that whole thing under the rug, and it was Anonymous who brought all the information to light.
Probably because one of the accused guys was like the governor's son or something stupid like that.
I don't know if it was the governor's son, but I think there was a connection to the governor.
So yeah, it's usually something like that. One of the people accuses the son of somebody high up the ladder.
Yeah, but it's bullshit. You know, some murders do not need to be investigated. Sometimes. I
think the majority of murders are probably pretty open and shut.
Yeah, generally. I mean, it's not always a big convoluted. What's that machine where you have all the strange moving parts and
Automaton?
You set the one thing into motion? No.
Oh, Rube Goldberg machine.
Rube Goldberg. Yeah, not all murders are Rube Goldberg type situations where someone came up with an extraordinarily convoluted and complicated plot to commit a murder, and you need fucking Columbo to come in and say just one more thing 30 times. You know, it's not always like that. Most of the time, it's just something as simple as the bitch pissed me off for the last time.
Yeah. Person A said something or did something to person B. Person B got the gun out, shot person A. Easy.
Yep. Over money or over fucking a childish
Yeah.
version of romance, whatever. But a lot of these things, they do need to be investigated properly. I mean, as it stands right now, I don't know why we have police unions. I don't know what purpose they serve, other than to railroad the investigation. You know, same thing with teachers' unions. Jesus Christ, how many times do you hear stories about the lady teachers having sex with the students?
Well,
Versus how many
teachers
times?
unions are totally corrupt now. Anyway, it's not about getting a fair shake for the teachers. It's about lining the
No.
pockets of the union leaders.
Yes. I largely believe the same thing is true of the police or any union that's connected to a state-run endeavor.
Every now and then they'll do something that is in line with what the charter was, but most of the time it's about pocket lining.
Right. Most of the time, it's about raising union dues
or about
and trying to get
or about the power of the leader of that union.
right.
And it's usually political. It's got nothing to do with what's going on in the police force.
Well, no, because let's look at it. You know, I've said this before. We spent decades throwing more and more money at education, but education is not improving.
No.
And because education is not improving, they're going to say, give us more money. We can make it better. Well, no, we've done that. It's only gotten worse. You don't get any more money. And in fact, you want more money? You have to open up all your books to total public scrutiny.
Yeah, exactly. I still support the you run, I shoot. Only the guilty and cowards run. I don't support that. You run, I taser. I can go with that.
Well, it depends. In my world, in my mental universe, I endeavor to judge every case on its individual merits.
Yeah, running doesn't always imply guilt. I mean, let's put it this way:
well,
if you're in Chicago, you're a perfectly law-abiding black kid, honor student, and all the rest of that, and you've got the whole Black Lives Matter crew going around stirring up all sorts of unrest because what do we want dead cops? When do we want them now? A cop sees you walking on your own, and he knows you're in a bad neighborhood, and he calls you over because he's legit concerned for you. And you're thinking, oh my God, this cop's calling me over. He's just going to shoot me in the head because I'm black, because that's all you've heard. And you're actually starting to believe what you're hearing. You're going to go, no, fuck that shit. I don't want to be shot in the head. And you're going to run even though you've done nothing wrong. Are you then saying that, oh, well, it's that kid's then fair play to be shot?
Well, see that I view as that's the way Black Lives Matter
Has fucked a lot of people over.
Escalates the situation in order to create the monster that they claim already exists.
Exactly, but that monster then does exist, and this poor honor roll kid who's just minding his own business and has to walk through a dodgy neighborhood to get home for whatever reason. I mean, this is just a hypothetical situation, but it's feasible. And all he's heard is that the police are going to kill you.
Yeah, that's all he knows. Because
I wouldn't blame him for running.
Let's be honest. The parents are filling their kids up with this shit.
Yeah.
Schools are filling their kids up with this shit. It's mostly a lie, but it's what they believe.
So would you blame the kid for running? I wouldn't.
Shit, you know, and honestly, why stop the kid if you haven't witnessed a crime being committed? You know what crime?
Well, he's not stopping him because there's any sort of crime committed. He's basically calling him over.
He has no business even approaching him.
This is a dodgy neighborhood. I just want to make sure you're okay.
I mean, I used to live about a mile from work. I guess maybe a little bit more. Now that I'm thinking about it, And, you know, the snow would fall, the snow would be flying. I'd be out there 6 o'clock in the morning walking to work when my car took a shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, cop pulled over and, you know, he asked me if, what did he say? I think he asked me if I had a car that broke down. I'm like, nah, just headed to work. He's like, all right, off you went. That's fine. You know?
Yeah. I mean, they're just doing the protect and serve. Make sure you're okay and leave you to your business.
Yeah, I mean, because of the weather, that's a perfectly legitimate wellness check, if you will. On the other hand, I've been approached by cops from the same department just to hassle me for going to work. Weather's fine. I'm riding a bike instead of walking this time because there's no snow. And they want to hassle me while there was no crime being committed. They didn't witness a crime being committed. I know that because I committed no crime.
Why investigate gang shootings? They handle it because if you don't investigate gang shootings and you don't occasionally arrest one of them when you find that there's appropriate evidence to arrest them, you basically give them a green card to blow the fuck out of anybody they want to.
Well, yeah, that's like tacitly endorsing their behavior.
Yeah, which, no, not good.
But I think what Gunny is actually suggesting there is if the gang start shooting, shoot back.
Yeah, I've got no problem with that. If the gang starts shooting, yeah, you shoot back.
Well, yeah, exactly. Okay. Mike Brown was not a gentle giant. Fuckwad writes, when I went to school in Spanish Harlem, I was a rare white guy. I got stopped and frisked repeatedly because they thought I was there to buy drugs. And again, did they witness a crime being committed? Probably not. They were operating on suspicion, and it didn't even really rise to reasonable suspicion.
Yeah.
You know,
but at least that is a certain level of fairness, though, the whole stop and search thing. It shouldn't just be black people that are subjected to it. If it's going to be a thing, everyone should be subjected. When they feel it shouldn't be a thing, to be honest. But if it's going to be, then it should be distributed equally.
I mean, see, this is where it gets weird because on the one hand, I don't blame the cops for any of that because this is what they're trained to do. All right, but then I think about it a little bit more deeply, and I realize the cops. When I realize that the cops themselves, as individuals, many of them are not thinking this stuff through, then I kind of do have to hold them responsible for not thinking it through. I mean, we have that Bill of Rights. That's not just for show and tell purposes, for fuck's sake. I mean, and again, you know, like that Judge Dorsey in New London, Connecticut case where the guy applied to be a police officer and they wouldn't let him because he scored too high on the IQ test.
That is still laughable.
It's insane.
Yeah.
I want smart cops. I want to respect cops more than I do now. Generally, I do. You know, I treat people with a minimum amount of respect, and whether that respect goes up or down is up to the person in question.
Yeah.
That includes cops. You get out of me what you put in. That sounds dirty. You get out of the situation what you put into it. If you approach me like a sociopathic asshole, don't be surprised when I'm not nice to you.
No offense, but there's little sympathy to be had there, though.
Gunny, between cops approaching someone who's drunk and they run off at the mouth and cops approaching someone who's sober and they run off at the mouth.
Yeah.
I don't run off at the mouth. I'm always polite, but I'm not going to make it easy on them.
Yeah, the guy's only
you-
doing his job. That doesn't mean you got to give him an easy paycheck, though.
Right. I'm not just gonna roll over because a guy's wearing a badge and let my rights be trampled on. I'm not gonna do it. But we do need we need more accountability is what we need. We need better accountability, and we need to get rid of these laws that not even just laws, but also policies. We need to get rid of the laws and the policies that do not serve the Constitution. Any law or policy that disrespects the rights of the individual has to go.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's going to be this is when President Trump got into office and suddenly repealing Obamacare became repeal and replace. I said no. Well, you can't just repeal. Yes, you can. Don't tell me no. Absolutely, you can. Get rid of that shit. They lumped it on us in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
Now get rid of it the same way. That's true, Gunny. Let me try that again. A white male is more likely in the USA to be shot by cops than black male, according to the Department of Justice statistics.
Yeah, black males are more likely to be shot by other black males.
Yep. In fact, we had a thing here, an event, if you will, recently at the community college here locally, where they got members of the police department, public defender, and I think someone else who was also a someone employed by the state to do a little conference about how to interact with the police. And I couldn't help but notice that all the people involved, or all the people up on the stage, were paid by the state. And
Yeah.
sorry, that's not a what do you call it? That's not an unbiased panel.
No.
If they're all paid by the state, that's just a group of people getting together to convince you to not stand up for your rights.
Yeah, it's basically a
And,
propaganda panel.
I got on the news when they were advertising that thing in the local newspaper's Facebook page. I got on there and said so.
And what sort of response was you met with?
Oh, they never respond.
No, no, cool.
You
I
know,
was hoping you might have been one of the lucky ones where they actually tried to fight back. Well, not fight. Fight's the wrong word.
well,
They
it's
tried to
because it's not a
debate the
fight.
issue.
Yeah, and quite honestly, well, what I'd said was, what about the Bill of Rights? That are they going to? I was asking questions too. Are they going to talk about how the citizen should defend their rights, guaranteed by the Constitution? Yada yada yada. Not a word back at me, and I think it's because they knew they couldn't argue it without losing.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to the rights of the people thing, you can't argue against that without losing.
No.
Look at feminism. They've argued against it and they lost.
Yeah, because
they've won a lot, actually.
I've noticed over the last year, you don't hear much about feminism anymore.
No.
They seem to.
Because
it's all social justice now. Feminism is just like one room in the skyscraper of social justice.
Yeah, it's one of the many colors of hair on someone's head.
Yeah.
At this point. But, it's always the feminist agenda is still what very, very much covered when they talk about things like rape culture and shit like that, because they'd still go on about that stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. Got to keep
And that's still
flogging the
pushing the
same tired
feminist agenda.
horse.
They're just not using the word feminism as much.
True. Everything was feminist, that,
Because,
feminist, the other, feminist research, feminist, all of, and that's kind
goddamn.
of gone off now. Now it's more the SJWs have taken over feminism, and
Kinda, yeah.
feminism's been neutered by social justice now. Any good
Yep.
that feminism was doing just is no longer a thing.
In fact, the most recent thing I heard was, the whole watch out for male feminists thing.
Oh yeah, I watched Sargon's video on that as well. And it's not wrong though, because it really does
No.
seem that as soon as you claim to be a male feminist, it just seems to be the mentality that the left will protect you no matter what you do, because you're parroting the things they want you to, and to a certain extent that is
Right.
true. Right, it is making more coffee time. You may well be right there, Cubby. That's just really dark. And that is a very bad pun as well.
Well, but it's also what I mean about, the parents instill this stuff in their kids too.
Yeah.
Along with the schools, and all that shit needs to. Everything needs an enema.
That actually doesn't quite make sense though, because there's certain areas that you see, particularly the black gang members. You're either going to make it or you're not. And if you're not going to be one of the ones that makes it, has all the bling and the caddy with the spin wheels and all the rest of that, and all of the trappings, then they just seem to have the mentality that yes, I am a disposable person.
Kinda.
These Gunny's pretty much nailed that right now. And that just says a hell of a lot about the parent.
It does.
That they're willing to sacrifice Trayvon or Leroy or whatever the hell his name is for a few $1,000s.
Well, let's face it. Fuck what? A lot of the parents are criminals. I don't mean just in the ghettos, though. I mean everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, think about what some of the stuff that parents do.
I'm pretty sure a lot of them, it's not because they want to be criminals, it's you have to be to survive in certain areas.
Well, yeah, but I'm getting out of that, the geographic thing.
Yeah.
Look at some of the things that parents do to kids, and then you add the criminal and economic elements on top of that, okay? But one of the things most parents do is they reward children for behavior that the parent agrees with.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're gonna. Let's see. What's a good example? Not even rewarding behavior, but
shoplifting would probably be the most common one.
Well, let's.
Walmart's a big corporation that they can do without that $25 pair of sneakers. But you got us our $25 pair of sneakers. We could sell them for $15, and now we got food for the table.
Let's look at shoplifting as an example. There, kid starts shoplifting. Now, let's assume that's an action the parents don't agree with. Is the parent going to shower the kid with affection now? Because of that? No.
No, exactly.
But if the parent does agree with shoplifting, the 99% and all that shit, and the rich.
Shoplifting's a victimless crime because it's only the big corporation and they can afford it. Yeah, that mentality.
Yeah. If it's that kind of a parent, they probably are going to shower the kid with affection if the kid starts shoplifting.
Well, they'll either shower him with affection or a shopping list, one or the other.
Yeah, no doubt. It's disturbing.
Over in my chat, Fuckwad said, public education is the gateway drug to socialism. I don't know. I think K-12 is basically giving people the basics to be able to work in a
No,
factory. Universities
no,
and
it's not.
colleges are where they refine it. It's like
No,
it's like it's like K-12 is the Boy Scouts. Universities are where they train you, where you go basic army training. That's kind of the difference in the intensity of what they're dishing out.
I mean, they're giving them the basics, but they're giving it to them badly. But
Yeah,
they're also shit. I forgot what I was going to say again.
from what I can make out, there's a hell of a lot of censoring of history, so that while it's
Well,
not while they're not technically lying, they're not giving the full story, so it's very skewed to one side.
yes, there is
Similar,
that.
similar to the way CNN does the news. Oh,
Yes.
speaking of CNN doing the news, I watched Crowder's live stream where he did 16 hours of watching CNN. One, he's fucking crazy. Why would anybody do that?
No idea.
But watching the way that they covered the news, they wasn't actually. Well, there were a couple of occasions where they were actually flat out lying. But for the most part, it was telling a story, but without most of the information. So it was skewed to
Yes,
one side.
exactly.
And that's what the education system does as well.
Yes, it does. It gives you just enough.
Yeah.
But you know that the K through 12 is also being used to convince you that the state has more rights than you do. I mean, for one
You're
thing,
not wrong there, fuckwad. K-12 is where the teachers start telling you how important the government is in your life. They
yep,
have to in order to justify their own largeness. Yeah, you're not wrong.
largesse, largesse. Yes,
Large.
they. I'll give you an example. It for a lot of to graduate from high school in a lot of places in the U.S. now, there is a requirement to do some manner of community service. And I actually have a word for that. It's an older word.
Slavery.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what that is. That's slavery.
It's like when David Cameron was Prime Minister, he was trying to put a bill through where he would make anybody who is claiming state benefits work for those benefits. So he would basically put them in a job that could be taken for somebody pulling a, a minimum wage off of, even if we just go minimum wage or better off of. So he's got somebody who they're paying the equivalent of £75 a week doing the same work as somebody who was getting $7.50 an hour.
Right.
And that one, they nearly got it through, except the House of Lords said, no, you can't, because that's slave labor. And it sounds like very much like a very similar thing to what you're talking about there. The government will try and get the most out of you for the cheapest price they can.
Right. Well, see, in this case, understand, we've had a change in our language, in our use of language. You know, it's akin to George Carlin's thing about how shell shock became battle fatigue, then operational exhaustion, then post-traumatic stress
Yeah,
disorder.
yeah.
The same kind of thing happened here with community service, because community service used to be volunteer work.
To my mind,
You
community
know,
service has always been what they sentence you to instead of prison.
yes, but you know they still use that phrase when it comes to that requirement to graduate high school. You're required to do community service. Now, see, community service sounds better than volunteer work in this context. Plus, the phrase community service is not such an obvious contradiction to the word, or I'm sorry, to fuck.
Community service is a sugar-coated way
I'm
of
sorry.
saying it.
Yeah, it's look,
There we
volunteer
go.
work. You cannot require someone to volunteer.
Right, Panda, this room is live.
Cool.
And how did you get in?
Do you want me to bounce, or
I'm not sure how you got in.
I just clicked the thing?
I don't trust Discord to to handle those things very
Yeah,
well.
I don't either, to be honest. This room is currently live streaming, though.
Okay.
You can join in if you want to, but if you don't, then...
Anyway, what I'm saying is, you cannot force someone to volunteer. Volunteering cannot be required. Otherwise, it's because it stops being voluntary.
Yeah.
You know, it becomes slavery. And that's exactly what they're doing now. When you require someone to do community service to graduate high school, you're mandating slavery.
Pretty much.
And shit, we have a whole fucking amendment to the Constitution about how that's illegal. Now, someone's going to try to come up with this argument that, well, they're not adults, they don't have those kinds of rights. And, excuse me, but show me where it says that in the Constitution. Go on. I'm waiting.
Last I checked, they were still human beings.
Well, yes, they are, but I'm talking about something rather specific here. I think it's the 13th Amendment that abolished slavery. I'm going to...
that sounds right.
I am going to look it up so I can read it out for this
Just
purpose.
While you're looking at it, just to address something Gunny said in the chat. 15 minutes of CNN, I find myself holding my 45. During Crowder's stream, there were actually 15 weapons in the room. And Stephen Crowder's wife took away all the bullets because, yeah, CNN.
Let's see. God, you know what I love this about the Constitution and amendments to the Constitution to a certain point, because at a certain point they stop being explicit. Let's see. Oh, this is even better. The text of the 13th Amendment, it exists in two sections. Section 1, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Section 2, Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Now show me where it's legal to mandate community service in order to graduate high school.
By that, it's not.
Exactly. I mean, I've had people say, well, it's good for kids to learn about volunteer. Yeah, if it's voluntary, sure. Why do you want to force them? What's wrong with you? Why do you want to be that fucking tyrant?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, this stuff pisses me off. And mind you, this is the schools doing this. This is a school policy, you know, where they're supposed to teach things like the Constitution, slavery, and all that stuff. I mean, God knows everyone pisses and moans about all the slavery that exists in the United States.
Where?
But actually they don't, because they're allowing this, but they're going to fucking complain about something that happened, what, 150 years ago?
That nobody there was alive to witness. Yeah.
Or experience. It's bullshit.
And very...
You know what? Bring it up next time. Anytime someone wants to go on about slavery and all that fucking shit, go ahead and bring up the 13th Amendment and that requirement to graduate high school. And ask these assholes why they're not fighting the slavery that exists now. Right here in America. Yes, we have slavery. It doesn't matter that it's so many hours and then it's done. It doesn't matter that they get a high school diploma out of it. It's slavery.
Oh, yeah. Unpaid forced labor. Slavery.
Yes.
But it's only
'Cause,
slavery.
you know,
It's only
that
slavery if you're any color other than white.
yeah, it's only slavery if you're not white,
Yeah.
which is a separate bowl of llama dip.
The whole evil white people thing going on at the moment is amusing and worrying at the same time. And I say amusing because it's just my dark humor, but they're basically advocating for stuff that really, really pissed them off 50 years ago, like the blacks only drinking fountains and stuff like that. But that's where they're pushing for.
Yeah.
If not flat out genocide in some cases.
Pretty much, yeah. They're advocating for something like a black-only lunch counter, and no.
I don't actually recall, but my history isn't brilliant. I don't actually recall very many people at all when racism was at its height in the US and there were still slaves and all that sort of stuff going on, and even after, up until like Martin Luther King came along and everything started changing, where any white person apart from maybe the Klan was advocating for the genocide of black people.
I don't think so.
I don't recall ever hearing anything about anybody talking genocide. But we're at a point now where they're talking about genocide of white people.
Yes. And there was, to be fair, there was that Archie Bunker kind of racism where it wasn't where a lot of it was more about the vernacular. You know, it's because I mean, Archie Bunker, yeah, he noticed certain behaviors within certain groups of people. And yeah, they were stereotypes, but stereotypes exist because
they're stereotypes for a reason.
Well, yeah, there's an element of truth to them.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's true in every case, but that's why the stereotype exists, is because there is an element of truth. And you know, the same could be said about white people. There is an element of truth to the stereotype, even though it's wrong to stereotype. But I think Archie Bunker wasn't as much a racist as he was guilty of stereotyping.
Yeah, I agree there. And even Archie Bunker's racism wasn't harmful. It was just words. It was his opinions, and his opinions you can either go, hey, I see what you're saying there, or fuck off. He was I don't recall any of his racism resulting in calls for harming anyone.
Well, no, in fact, he stood up against it.
Well, I think the point of Archie Bunker's racism was it all basically ended up turning on him, and he learned a lesson by the end of the show.
Well, yeah, but he didn't have like a deep-seated hatred of black people.
No.
He was certainly ignorant about
that was what Archie Bunker was.
Wanted out of life.
Flat out was just plain ignorant. He was from a different time.
Right. I mean, there is an element in everyone where you're brought up with certain influences, and then those influences do sway your perception of things.
They stick with you, and you then spend the rest of your life fighting to correct them within yourself.
Archie Bunker's father was probably quite the racist.
Yeah.
While Archie Bunker, that a lot of the language probably transferred over to him.
Yeah.
But the deep-seated hatred part of the racism really didn't.
No, because he wasn't a hateful racist.
No. He was, if you want a lawyer, you hire a Jew. He was that kind of a racist.
Because the stereotype is usually true. Jews tend to work really hard at what they do, and if they choose to be a lawyer, they become a damn good one.
Right.
The work ethic transfers into a stereotype.
Exactly. Which is kind of weird in a way, but this is what I mean. You know, the racism that these people are advocating for today is the same kind of racism that Archie Bunker's father would have advocated.
Yeah.
But not Archie Bunker himself.
If he even did at all, because like I said, I've never heard of, all through history, of anybody who was white supremacist or just your average white Joe advocating for the genocide and extermination of colored people. Never once heard of it. There may be exceptions to that, and if somebody can show me one, I'll be very happy to look at it. But I honestly don't recall any.
I think at the most Archie Bunker's racism was more at its extreme point was the blacks have their neighborhood, the Puerto Ricans have their neighborhood. That it was that kind of a thing.
I'll stay out of your place, you stay out of mine. Everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and that's why he reacted the way he did when the Jeffersons moved in. And that the flip side of that is Archie Bunker was right on a lot of things. Not about the Jeffersons, obviously.
Well, that's why Archie Bunker was so funny, because there was that truth behind the comedy.
Yes. And the meathead, Mike Stivic, was the real villain in that show. He really was. I mean, he basically sponged off Archie to get through school. And then, him and Gloria got divorced because of Gloria, not because of Mike.
Yeah.
And, God, in Edith Bunker was the one who pointed it out to Mike. Why Archie yells at Mike. It wasn't because Archie hated him. It's because Archie was jealous. Archie had to quit high school at like age 14 to work and support his family because his father had died. And that's probably, his father dying so early is probably why he wasn't a raging racist.
It could well have been, yeah. Because at 14, you haven't formed opinions about much of anything.
And here comes Mike. Archie's, by the time Mike got into Archie's world, Archie's day had gone already.
Yeah.
But Mike now had all these opportunities laying out in front of him, and he was able to pursue them. And the reason Archie yelled at Mike was because Archie was jealous. Mike yelled at Archie because Mike was a prick. He was a self-important, pseudo-intellectual asshole.
Pseudo-intellectual.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I thought you'd enjoy that. Let's see, 70% of every slave to come to America was chased, captured, and sold in a black-owned and run slave market. White people were killed if they were caught on land more than 5 miles from their ships. Yep.
That is true, and I'm not saying this is a belief of mine, but if you look at it from the other side, from a different angle, you could make the argument that the white men in America were actually doing quite a service in buying these slaves and bringing them to a better place to be.
A bit, but only a bit, I think.
Yeah, it is only a bit.
There was still the whips and all the other abuses that happened in the States.
From what I understand, the whips and the abuse. From what I understand, though, the whips and the abuses, they were a rarity, actually, because most of the slave owners actually valued the people who they owned.
Well, yeah, I mean, they were still treated as a commodity, though.
Yeah, but a valuable one. It's sort of like.
I mean, and how often have you gotten pissed off at a piece of equipment and flung it across the room?
Not that often, actually.
Neither do I, but that's because I'm cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, when I was younger, yeah. But as I've gotten older, that behavior has really mellowed out quite a bit.
Yeah, well, when you're younger, you've got no sense of value on anything.
Right. But my point being that those abuses did occur.
Yeah.
It wasn't as widespread as we're told it was, I mean, it wasn't like you were a slave so you got whipped. That's not how it worked.
Well, you have both ends of the spectrum. You get the ones who whip their slaves daily, and then you get the ones who give them a 3-course meal daily as well.
Right.
And they were actually treated better than most of the white workers who were out and doing the usual stuff that white workers did. I
Right.
mean, it just depended on the person.
It really did. I mean, it's and unfortunately there I don't know of any really detailed records that exist from that period.
Yeah.
I bet if those records exist, we'd have an entirely different picture we'd be looking at. And I still say that the Bill of Rights was one of the motivating factors for slavery being abolished. Even though it took about 80, 90 years to really get to that point. I mean, because, look, here we have, George Carlin was right. America was started by slave owners who wanted to be free. Okay, I mean, he's right in saying that.
Yeah.
But as time marches on and more people begin to understand, not just what the words in the Bill of Rights mean, but what the meaning is behind them, you know, what the what they mean on a deeper level.
I also think
they,
that
they
with
started seeing, I'm convinced that people in America started seeing this inconsistency. Well, how can we claim to be the land of the free, for example, if we have these people that we're treating like property?
Yeah.
That's bullshit. We need to fix that.
I also think there's a narrative that gets pushed onto the whole slavery thing as well, is that slaves only existed to make individuals richer, which I don't actually think was probably the case in at least half, if not more, of the cases. There was a lot of times where a landowner would own slaves. But what he would do is he'd be going, okay, well, I've got this little town that's got a sawmill, my property, and maybe there's a shoemaker or a blacksmith and a small smattering of houses around it. I want to make this town bigger and more prosperous. I've got this army of workers who can build this town up to be bigger and more prosperous, which will bring more people in and the income will come, and then we can actually be a trading hub or whatever. And they would use their assets, i.e. their slaves, to make things better for everybody else around them, as opposed to just being all about, you're going to pick cotton and make me a fortune and I'm never going to share that with anyone.
Right.
Which is the narrative they try to push onto slavery. Because I know with the Irish slaves, that was definitely the case.
I know that a lot of the slavery, it seems to me that once industrialization really takes a foothold, where you have actual factories and jobs and stuff like that, it seems natural that slavery begins to go by the wayside under those conditions.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, the Industrial Revolution in America happened about the time that slavery was being abolished.
Yeah. They fulfilled their purpose.
Right. I mean, I'm not saying slavery is right under certain circumstances at all.
No, neither am I. But I can see.
I'm just commenting on the pattern that I think I'm recognizing.
Yeah.
When it comes to how far a society develops, I think doing away with slavery is a natural outcome. But there has to be something that gets put into place that kind of makes up for those labors, if you know what I mean. If slavery just disappeared and production took a huge hit, there would be a problem, and it would probably lead to more slavery instead of less. But with industrialization, I can see where once things start getting industrialized, people start saying, okay, we don't need to own slaves anymore. And it's kind of a cold way to assess things, if you know what I mean. Oh, look at this. The Royal, I'm not sure. The Royal Dutch, I think is what that's supposed to be, shipping company has records dealing with the slave trade going back to 1658. Oh, it is Dutch. Okay. Yeah, but they have records dealing with the trade or with. I'm talking about, when I was talking about records, I refer to detailed records as far as how individual slave owners treated their slaves. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about, or was talking about, before I was on about industry and slavery, or industry coming in and slavery going out.
Yeah.
I just wonder if that's an actual thing or if it's just something I'm choosing to see at the moment.
I don't know. I suppose it depends on what frame of mind you're in at any one particular time, because I'm sure slavery existed for a plethora. That's a nice word that doesn't get used enough. A plethora of reasons. It wasn't just one or two. There was a whole bunch of validations for it happening, even that you can call them that. There's no real excuse for it. But I do also think that in the forming of a new country, some amount of slavery is kind of a necessity.
I don't know.
Well,
again, it depends on the technology.
No, look at it from, well, it's not these days, but back when like the US was being formed, you had a lot of land, you had a few people, you had resources available, but you didn't have any pre-harvested. There comes to a point where you're either going to do the work yourself for no pay, at which point you're your own slave, or you're going to have other people do it for you with no pay because there just aren't the resources to pay the amount of people that are required to get the job done.
Well, it's no pay is a bit of a misnomer because I think slave owners were required to feed their slaves, and I'm sure a decent amount of them fed them shit.
But then there probably would have been a decent amount of them that were fed well and housed well as well.
I'm going to keep the good cut of meat for myself.
Yeah.
And they can have all these scraps. I'm sure that happened. I mean, ultimately, it always comes down to looking out for number one. If John Smith was the guy who utilized his slaves to make the town bigger and turn it into a trading hub, yeah, a lot of people will benefit from that, but ultimately he's doing it for himself. He's going to be, the hero, the savior, the whatever. He's going to be the guy that everything in town gets named after.
Yeah.
And that's the level of power. That's self-serving. So it's going to be, stuff comes in on the Smith River barge. And it goes into the Smith dock and gets transferred by the Smith Shipping Company
onto the Smith Rail Service and sent to Smithsville.
Yep, over to the Smith smelting plant. It's that's power. That's one kind of power. It's certainly a huge economic power.
Yeah.
So, I'm certainly not saying that slave owners were all people of good conscience, because that would be a lie.
Oh God, I just got some spam email with a brilliant line in it. I'd like to point out that Beautiful has you inside it, but Quickie has you and I in it. That was terrible.
Oh, that's bad.
I love spam email though, because sometimes there's some of the best, worst, cheesiest lines imaginable in them. I'm one of those assholes that does check my spam.
Let's see, Gunny. I'm not seeing anything on mines. But I'm not through everything from December 26th yet either. Now I am. Unless you're talking about the one you sent me on YouTube the other day. Well, yeah, that's another part of it, Gunny, is that it was easier to buy a slave, or it was probably more cost effective to buy a slave, have them work your land, and feed them, than it was to hire a farmhand to work your land and pay them.
Wasn't there a minimum wage thing going on even back then?
I'm not sure. I think there was, and I think it varied from place to place, actually.
If you're
I've
if you're a
heard
white
that,
American, you get 50 cents a day. But if you're not American, there's no law that covers how much you have to be paid.
I'm not quite sure, but I know that in some places, the slave owner was required to have things at a minimum standard for the slaves.
Yeah.
You know, you had to. You couldn't just have them. You know, for example, some places, you know, you could just let them sleep out in a tent, basically. Other places, you had to have them in a structure.
Yeah.
Of some sort. And you know, when that was the case, yeah, it would be 4 walls, no door, and a roof on the dirt.
A basic shelter.
Still on the dirt, but yeah. You know, it's not like you gave them good flooring and furniture and all that stuff. You know, it was something without amenities. Oh, that's interesting. American slaves lived on average 12 years longer than Africans. On average.
It does kind of lend to that theory that in buying slaves from Africa, you were giving them a better life. Or at least a longer one.
Oh, the DM thingy. There we go.
I mean, slavery was always morally reprehensible. I mean, it's not right. No way that you look at it, but I can see how it was probably a necessity.
Got it, Gunny. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm trying to be like unbiased and a bit analytical in looking at it.
Yeah, I am as well, because
you know, but you know, even between us, and we generally fall on the same side of
most fences, you know.
Of what?
Fall on the same side of most fences.
Yes, and you know, even there, you know, it's even with us falling on the same side of those fences, it's a very complicated subject.
Yeah, exactly. It's not as simple as they try to make out.
It's not. Yeah, you know, it's not as simple as black and white, or rich and poor, or anything like that. It's an extraordinarily complicated subject, especially when you factor in, you know, from that very cold point where I'm trying to look at it about industrialization and whatnot.
Yeah.
And you know, you start thinking, okay, so what? Slavery is a necessity. You know, you start asking yourself that question. Does that mean that slavery is a necessity until things get industrialized? And, you know, I got to say no, just because I do find the concept reprehensible.
But it does have a certain element that goes in its favor as well.
Well, yeah, you know, that's
Which,
like
it kind of makes you wonder why there's places in the Middle East where slavery is still a thing. They're not nearly as advanced, and it's probably still at the point where they're trying to build it up. They just haven't got the education or the know-how to get any further than they have.
right. Yes, Gunny, I was aware of that. That's one of the mistakes a lot of people make when they say women couldn't vote, blacks couldn't vote, blah, blah, blah. It didn't work that way. Then again, this is another complicated thing. Until the end of the Civil War, only property owners that paid taxes were able to vote. You know, now all you have to do is be 18. And that's a big mistake a lot of these people make. You know, if you were black, you couldn't vote. You could if you owned property and paid taxes. If you're a woman, you couldn't vote. You could if you owned property and paid taxes. The right to vote, it never said anywhere that only white men get to vote. And I think it was set up that way initially because I think the idea was that if you had a vested interest in the success of this country, then yes, you should vote.
Yeah, and if
And
you
if
own
you own
land, you
property
have
and
the
you're paying
interest.
taxes, right? If you own property and you're paying taxes, then you have a vested interest. So by default, those were the people who got to vote initially, and it just expanded outward from there. Yeah, not all white men had a vote because not all white men own property and paid taxes. You know, again, all the stuff that they don't teach you in school. They teach you part of it in school, but they certainly don't give you the full story.
No. But then that is generally what K-12 is designed for, is they give you a little taste of everything to enable you to decide which one you like best to then go on and study in college.
And they're failing.
Oh, yeah. The theory behind that method, yeah, totally sound, is the practical. The way they're delivering it is just not working. No, not all white men did have a vote. It was only landowners initially. Has Mitch muted himself? I think Mitch has muted himself. Oh God, does that mean I have to sing?
Yes, I did mute myself. God damn it, I was going on about this lovely bit of trivia. For fucking
And there's
hell.
Pandas sitting there lurking in the background, chuckling his ass off, going, oh God, our course going to have to sing now.
Shh. Don't draw attention to me.
The Australian who we could never get to shut up at the time that we actually need him to talk is deathly silent.
No, what I was saying was that I was saying that our school system's delivery is completely fucked up.
Well,
oh yeah, that's right, Gunny. If you served in the military, you got the vote too. Again, an indication of having a vested interest in the success of this country.
Yeah, very much so. And that vote didn't come free. It came with a list of responsibilities that you had to agree to get that vote.
Yes.
Bucket brigading and the like.
I had said that our school system is like a comedian with bad timing. I don't know if you
Right.
guys. Okay, you guys caught that part.
Hmm.
Okay, and I think it's true because what our school system does is it explains the joke, or rather, it analyzes the joke. And Jimmy Carr had done a talk about a book he wrote in which he analyzed humor as it pertained to survival value and evolution in a society.
Yeah.
And while talking about this, nothing he was talking about was even remotely funny when he was talking about this. He was talking about it with other comedians, and he noticed that no one was laughing about it, and it prompted him to point out that analyzing humor is like dissecting a frog. Nobody laughs, and the frog dies.
Yeah.
And that's what our school systems do. They analyze the humor. No one's laughing, and the frog is still dead.
They
That's what we
analyze the
get out
humor
of
to
it.
take the humor out of the joke, and then they put a slant on that analysis. So therefore,
Right.
the function of the
Thereby killing
joke
the
is
frog,
gone.
and the
It's not
frog
only
dies.
gone, but it's been corrupted.
Yes. It's like this. I tell you this joke. A guy walks into a bar with a with a big ship's wheel as a belt buckle. The bartender says, "Hey, what's with the belt? That's a pretty odd belt buckle." And the pirate says, "Aye, it's driving me nuts."
Oh,
Yeah, see? At
oh,
least you get the cringe laugh out of it, right?
yeah.
But you have the school tell that joke. The school won't even tell that joke. Someone else will tell that joke, and the school starts asking stupid questions.
If they don't just expel them for wrong
Someone
thing.
starts off. A pirate walks into a bar, and then the school says, "What kind of bar?"
And
The school asks, "Why is the pirate landlocked?"
what kind of pirate, and piratism's wrong because. At
Yeah.
which point
Meanwhile,
you never get to the punchline because it's been subverted and
well,
taken away from it anyway.
the person telling the joke is like, "That's not important. What's important here is the escalation, which you are robbing yourself of by asking these inane questions." So, a pirate walks into a bar, and then the school says, "Well, why isn't it important what kind of bar it is?" Then you say something, then you try to explain it to them further, and they're like, okay, just go ahead and tell your joke. And then you go, "The pirate walks into a bar and orders a drink, the end." And then the school will complain that the joke isn't funny.
Yeah.
That's what we're getting out of education, if that makes any sense to anyone but me.
I see where you're going. It does make sense. It's one of them concepts that most people just go,
Right. The school could understand the joke and the escalation and the humorous climax
because
if they would shut up and listen.
good comedy, one, makes you laugh, two, makes you think.
Yes. But the school is not just overanalyzing the joke, they're interfering with the joke. Therefore, the schools are a joke. And it's frustrating as all hell to have to live in a country that is the result of that joke. So I keep saying, we need to. That's why I keep saying we need to force this accountability. We've had people in Congress who have been there for decades. Get them out. They suck.
That's the thing. You should be able to look at any institution or any system and immediately be able to see the process of accountability for that institution or system.
Yes.
And a lot of
Yes,
them, you just look at them and you go, Right, so I see this system. Where's the body that keeps it accountable?
Yeah. What kind of bar, Gunny? Why were they blondes? Why were they walking?
Two
Yeah,
blondes
I'm gonna
walk
be
into
that
a
guy for a
bar.
second.
Ouch, ouch.
Yep.
Isn't the joke two blondes walk into a bar? You think the second one would have seen it?
Yeah, I think it is.
A blonde cop pulls another blonde over and walks up to the car and asks the blonde in the car license and registration. The blonde hands the compact over to the cop. The cop opens it and goes, "Oh, I didn't know you were a police officer too. On you go."
Oh man, I knew a blonde joke that was really funny, but I forgot it. The hell with it. Oh no, it's a different one. Some people won't catch this one. I was all set to tell my Oliver North jokes today, but to the best of my recollection, I shredded them.
Oh my god.
I heard that one on the radio when all that was going on. That was hilarious.
Yeah. That's one of them jokes that doesn't age too well, though. But if you remember, it's
No,
funny.
it doesn't. Yeah. Well, it's like I would love to make a shirt that says Ross Perot was right. Because that would piss off the Democrats and Republicans, and that's really
Oh,
what
yeah.
Trump was all about.
Oh yeah,
Trump's election wasn't as much about people believing in Trump. It was about raising a middle finger to the fucking
I seriously to this
deep state
day,
Democrats and deep state Republicans. We're
I
tired of your shit.
seriously to this
Fuck
day
you.
think Trump ran as a joke. Thinking, yeah, I'll get eliminated pretty early on, but I'll get some shits and giggles out of it. I may shake a couple of things up along the way. And then he
Well,
won.
yeah,
And then he won, and he went, "Oh fuck, what do I do now?"
Well, yeah, and it would certainly up his profile.
Yeah.
Because that's why every asshole from Hollywood with half a brain cell is issuing an opinion on all the sex. And we're reaching a dangerous place with all that.
Well, it's from several different directions. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny that this the same group that does the slut walk is extraordinarily puritanical.
Oh God, yeah. What the hell is that?
That was an alarm.
No, that's not an alarm.
Yeah, it was.
That's the portal to magical fairyland.
Yeah, that's a vaguely pleasant attention getter. That's not an alarm. An alarm should sound like a pissed off East German drill instructor.
Oh, I don't think you quite heard what was on there then, because, oh, fuck!
Yep. A good alarm clock will scare you awake. and you'll wake up thinking that cannot be healthy. I had a friend, man, he had an alarm clock like that. Holy shit, that thing echoed through the house, scared the piss out of you. You wake up in a fucking puddle. I mean, your heart just going. Fuck.
That can't be good for you, shit in the bed every morning.
Yeah. Like, Jesus Christ, now I got this much more work to do. Gunny, is that the same video you sent to my YouTube video last couple of days, or is it a different one? I think it's a different one. Top 10 staged media events. But I'm convinced I've seen something like that here recently. But, it's true. They do that. The media, they had that thing, Nancy Grace and someone else from CNN, I think, doing a two shots, side-by-side images where it's like they're talking from different locations, but you see the same vehicles passing behind them.
Oh, like the one where the NBC guy interviewed a CNN cameraman because they wanted somebody who'd say what they wanted to hear.
Right.
Or was it I can't remember which way it was around, but it was one of the news organizations with another news organization's cameraman.
Yeah.
Masquerading as Joe Public.
Yeah. It's God, they get caught again. We catch them all the damn time. Stop pretending to be surprised.
At this point, I really do wonder how they're maintaining any sort of credibility. And how
that's just it. They're not.
I mean, and how people just aren't tuning out in droves. But there was something that Steven Crowder nailed that I never actually thought of.
What's that?
CNN, most of their viewing figures are actually because it is piped through to every airport in the country.
Ah.
And they show up on the Nielsen ratings as a result. So not many people are actually watching CNN. They're just going past. They might get 30 seconds or 2 minutes.
Gunny writes, the Democrats have not been this mad at a president of the United States since Abe Lincoln took their slaves away. It's funny you mentioned that, though, because when I was out to lunch today, there's a variety of big screen TVs in this restaurant. One's got CNN, one's got Fox, one's got ESPN. There's just a variety of that type of channel. God, I remember when the Nielsen company used to give you a box you'd hook up to your TV to monitor what you're watching. And I don't think they use that anymore. And if they do, it's really weird that they would. And, I got to assume that.
It did make me stop and think that, well, yeah, they've still got the numbers, but those numbers are false.
Right. They're
So when you get somebody like Ben Shapiro who will do his show and he'll get 500,000 people watching, it means because YouTube, you get all the analytics to see how long people are actually staying when they come. I mean, for example, this show on my channel is showing the average person stays 22 minutes, and that was for the last show, which was near 4 hours. Even those 22 minutes, that's people actively engaging with what I'm saying, or what we're saying for 22 minutes. With CNN, it's a couple of minutes, but because it's being piped through every airport in the country, and bars and hospital waiting rooms and stuff like that, they all count. Even if nobody's looking at the screen.
Well, see, that's just it. In those situations, you you don't have a choice of what to watch. Otherwise, they'd all be porn.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, seriously, the ratings people have got to take that into account. It's the captive audience thing. The captive audience is not always good.
I'm sure they do, but I suppose it depends, because with each set of numbers they'll get in, you'll get like 2 reports. You'll get the raw numbers, which is every television set that's on and on that channel. And then you'll get the refined numbers, which is sort of like, well, this one's in an airport, so that will get maybe 100 eyes an hour. But those eyes will be for 30 seconds. And you'll get a more true analysis. But CNN ignore the true analysis. And they say, oh, well, we broadcast to 1 million sets worldwide or whatever.
Rock on, fuckwad. Fuckwad had to split.
See you later.
That's the thing, that's the television ratings thing I don't really buy, because it's one of those cases where numbers can be too easily manipulated.
Yeah.
I would trust the Leslie Nielsen ratings more than I would the Nielsen rating, to be honest.
Yeah, I would as well. I've come to the point where I don't trust any sort of polling mechanism anymore.
Well, no, because there's just too many ways to goof around with it.
Yeah.
You know, there's too many dicks stirring the pot. What a weird mixed metaphor that is. But, you know, there's too many dicks in the soup. You can't trust any of those numbers. Any time they come out with a recent poll, fuck you. That should be the response. Just a simple, uninterested fuck you.
Well, I noticed one of the things that CNN was doing is CNN were doing 1 hour long segments on a CNN poll, which of course that poll was going to be biased to begin with because it's a poll of CNN viewers. So of course they're going to get the result that they want.
Exactly. And, you know, since such numbers are so easily fucked around with, can we even trust YouTube's analytics?
I'm sure they're probably a bit more trustworthy, but even still, I wouldn't really want to put any real faith in them.
Well, yeah, you know why? Because YouTube has demonstrated more than once a willingness to be sketchy in their behavior.
Yeah.
You know, and on top of that, Google has demonstrated a willingness to be sketchy in their behavior. Hell, AdSense as well. You know, let's face it, when you get demonetized, do you really think that AdSense is sending that money back to the advertiser?
Oh, hell no. It's going straight off to Google.
Yes. I mean, there's more than one reason that these so-called adpocalypse things happen.
Yeah, there's Google going, there's a dollar there, we don't want it.
Pulling out.
There's Google going, there's a dollar there that's come from Pepsi. We don't want to give you your 40 cents. We're keeping it all. For reasons.
It's just horseshit. You know, and of course they're not gonna be open with how they're doing it because it's proprietary. Bullshit, it's proprietary. I'm fucking nobody and I can tell you how to operate such a system. Yeah, there might be little things that are different here and there, but overall it would be the same basic idea. Proprietary. Lick my nuts. Fucking Lopez can come up with a system. Lopez!
Well, if Lopez came up with a system, I'd trust that system.
Yeah, so would I. I'd have no choice. It's such bullshit. You know what? Proprietary analytical. Yeah, if it's so good, well, why don't you show how it's done, and let other people decide to buy it from you? For fucking out loud. Jesus Christ, I'm getting tired. And thirsty.
I know what you mean. The brain's slowly turning to mush. It'll be all the alcohol I poured into it last night. I think I'm finally getting to the sobering up point.
Well, Gunny puts it quite well. Trump is low in the polls, and those are the same polls that had Hillary Clinton a sure 95% for the next president of the United States.
Very true.
Yeah, so, like I said, numbers are too easily manipulated. All these outfits, be they government, or rather public or private sector, they've all demonstrated this willingness to be sketchy in their endeavors.
Any certain numbers can be massaged, not necessarily manipulated, but massaged to say anything you want them to.
Yes, but I think there's another thing underlying here, and it's something I come back to when people talk about, case studies and shit. And they're like, oh, we did a case study of 50,000 people, and these are the results we got, and it is just definitive information that this is how it works. How many people are in a country, let alone the whole planet?
About 350 million in America.
We've got something
There's
like,
something like
last I
16
knew, was
billion on the planet.
27. Yeah, we had 27 million here in Australia. Even at those numbers, 50,000 is insignificant.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
you're not getting a big enough sample of the populace to even say that it's definitive. And this is why I always say to people, they go, oh yeah, but they've been testing this and it works. Yeah, on a microscopic part of the population of that just one country or the entire planet.
Well, yeah, and mind you, when CNN does a poll, which is a far cry away from a study, they're only polling like 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Compared to 350
and
million.
of those 1,000 people, they're their own viewers who are biased anyway.
Exactly.
Yes.
So polls and studies and stuff like that rely on getting people's opinions just will never be a definitive until they can get up to the point where they can actually say we pulled a percentage of the populace. A percentage. Now that would be impressive.
Yeah.
That'd be a wow, you got that many people? Okay, I am willing to at least give this the time of day. But until they do that, it's just an indicator.
And it's
These
barely
numbers
that.
indicate that at this, at this sort of, level, this is what people are thinking.
Well, with CNN
Now,
polls is studies indicate that people who are inclined to like ice cream do like ice cream.
Yeah. Well, in CNN's case, it would be better to say, we did a poll and it indicates that our viewership believes this.
They never say that.
And
though.
that for me would be okay, fair enough. Your viewership believes that, but your viewership is only a very, very minute percentage of the populace. So it still doesn't indicate shit.
Well, and they didn't even poll their entire viewership.
Yeah, exactly.
Usually it's a Facebook poll, and how many people who watch CNN follow CNN on Facebook.
Right.
Old people and people who are really into, feeling like they know something.
Well, you can discount the old people because the majority of old people either don't know how to work technology or don't understand it or just aren't interested.
What's Facebook? What are you kids talking about in there?
Is that like some new sort of mirror that you put in your library?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Get off my lawn.
Get that damn light out of my face.
But yeah, it's an argument I have on a regular basis with people when they do try to pull up studies and go, oh yeah, but they got 50,000 people. That's a lot of people. In retrospect, yeah, it kind of is. Could you imagine standing in front of 50,000 people? That's a lot of people. But as I said to my housemate, I'm like, that's not even the populace of our town. One town out of how many?
Yep.
Worldwide, it's insignificant.
It really is.
I'm sure we can pull up numbers and go, well, more people die per year because of this very specific thing than they polled for this thing.
Yeah.
And even then, those numbers are classified by the Bureau of Statistics as insignificant.
The one statistic that they keep trotting out, and it always makes me scratch my head, is they say 75% of rapes go unreported. How the fuck do you know?
You can't.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's an attempt to prove a negative.
Well, it's an interesting thing to bring up there, the whole rape thing.
I've just pulled that number out of my ass, but it's one of those things that they regularly trot out.
We've got Milo right now, running around Australia causing trouble and being fabulous at the same time. And, they're pulling up the statistics and going, oh, there's been a 30% increase in sexual crimes, sexual related crimes since, say, 2010 till now. But do you know what that actual 30% increase was?
I do.
It was a 0.2% increase.
And there's also another aspect to it.
And that
In that amount of
took it from
time.
like a, you know, yeah.
There's also the fact that in that amount of time, cataloging and databasing has become more powerful as computers have become better as well.
Yeah. But, you know, that 0.2 took it from, I think it was like a 1.2% to a 1.7%.
Well,
you know,
remember this too, that they keep expanding definitions.
Mm-hmm.
When they want to raise the number of sexual assaults, they're going to expand the definition of sexual assault.
Well,
they're going to do that first.
The big trick they use with the sexual assault statistics is a woman. So, you know, the whole, a woman, 1 out of 3 women will be at some point, you know, sexually assaulted during their lifetime.
Lopez doesn't have a green card. He has psychic paper.
No. They've looked into it, and it's pretty accurate. 1 in 4 men will also be sexually assaulted, but they don't talk about that.
Yeah, we just ignore that.
But that's in their lifetime. That's from the moment you are a young woman to the moment you die. So over a, let's say, just for argument's sake, 75-year span, you're at the pub, some dude walked up, groped your ass, you turned around and said, "How rude of you," and then some dude behind him goes, "Oi, dickhead, fuck off." That's counted. It's not
the thing is the way that
Lopez was born in America.
The way things are at the moment, the definition has been broadened so much that being a 6-month-old infant who's just filled your diaper, as your mother wipes you clean with a baby wipe, her finger accidentally slips off the wipe and makes contact with skin. According to all the SJWs and all, that's still sexual assault.
Well, right. You know that
it's become a nonsense.
It's another useful. Let's face it. You know, if I urinate in my bathroom and there's someone looking in the window, I'll be put on a sexual predator registry.
Even a guy peeing in the street.
Yeah.
Gets put on a register.
Yes. Incidentally, Lopez was born in America and he's not an anchor baby. Just to let Gunny know.
Yeah, they try and use different terms to make it sound more severe, you know. So like I said, yeah, a 30% increase. Now you hear 30% increase and you go, "Ooh, fuck, that's kind of big." But then when you actually look at the numbers involved, you go, "Hang on a second, from 0.2 to 0.5, you know, or whatever." And that's close to a 50% increase.
Well, it's also because they know most of the viewership is not going to investigate further.
Yeah. They're going for the shock value in the numbers.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a case of we want to be factually accurate and, you know, make sure that you understand everything here. Or it's just a case of, oh, if we just, you know, throw these almost like, you know, buzzwords and catchphrases about, people will have a knee-jerk reaction.
Oh yeah. Plus, it's you know, using complicated language is a means to establish dominance.
Yep.
And if you take those manipulators,
basically, you want the people watching to believe that you're some sort of an authority, and if you use complicated language, then you know that helps to push that idea across.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I was talking to you about this the other day, Mitch, where I was like, you know, one idiot will listen to another idiot, and the idiot will go, "Geez, that idiot sounds smart. He must be smarter than me, therefore I should listen." And then another idiot who's a little bit smarter will go, "But that idiot's an idiot." Well, hang on a second. This idiot's smarter than that idiot, so he must be the intelligent one. Therefore, I will listen. You know, it's just coming back to what you just said. You know, the bigger the word they use for a lot of these people, the more intelligent it makes them sound. Therefore, they must be right.
Well,
You
yeah,
know?
that's why they're all talking about intersectional transatlantic flights.
Yeah. Geez, that sounds complicated. Wow. Oh, geez.
But it's got
These
the
must
word
be some
trans,
pretty
so we
smart
have to
people.
support it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're trying to. That's one thing they'll do is they'll take a complicated word like sectional. Okay, by itself, it's not that complicated, but it's got 3 syllables. But then they'll add a prefix to it, intersectional. So now it's got 5 syllables, and it's and it deals with things that overlap. It's conceptually a bigger word as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, they'll add another pile of garbage disguised as language around it, and morons will buy into it. You can't sit on a plane if you're a man with your daughter, you might sexually abuse them. But if you don't change their diapers, you're a misogynist. Exactly.
Yeah.
And fuck
If
you,
you
I'm
if
gonna
you
sit in the plane.
if you don't take your kids to play in the park, you're a bad father. If you do take
Right.
your kids to play in the park, you're a pedophile.
Yeah.
The-
It's that
can't
kind
win.
of thing.
It's a case of they build these no-win situations, so they've got something to bitch about whichever way it goes.
Right. And that's how they create their own monster.
Yeah.
Because, I might not be a lunatic with the gun right now. But this isn't a threat. This is a fact. I don't know what the final thing is going to be that makes me snap. Nobody does.
Some people
Is it
never find it, and
intersectionality?
others,
Is it
yeah.
the word misogynist? Is it the 5 billionth time I've had to hear this lie of a 1 in 5 rape statistic? Is it that I'm out of butter for my toast? I don't know. It could be any of these things and fucking trillion things more. Any of this shit can make me snap at any time.
Yeah.
I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know where you don't know that it's the last straw until after it's the last straw.
Exactly.
No one does.
You're sitting there watching an episode of Brokeback Camel. Actually, that sounds
I may never snap.
That sounds vaguely Islamic.
Oh, thanks for that image I didn't want. Hey, Wikipedia snippet. Man, now we've got more people jumping into the chat. So you guys go on for a second. I'm going to make a pot of coffee.
Going back a little bit to what Panda and Mitch were saying, though, is about they come out with these statistics that are designed to get a knee-jerk reaction. Now, the really clever thing is that a lot of people, they just gloss over, it doesn't even register in their mind, is that each one of these news outlets has got a bias. For example, with CNN, it's very left-leaning. So what they do is they make this knee-jerk reaction, and with the narrative, they control the direction of the kick.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll agree with that.
So therefore, it's very, very easy for them to do something like make your average Joe, who really doesn't have that much of an interest in the identity politics or anything else like that, you flash a headline at that, I mean, you can make them kick white men, and they don't even realize they're doing it or why. It's almost like, well, no, it's not like a form of hypnotism, but it is.
Well, it comes back to what we said before about, one idiot says something and the other idiot listens.
Yeah.
Up
until the point where that idiot can no longer comprehend what is being said, at which point that is the idea that they stick with and you cannot shift them from.
Up to the point that another idiot that sounds a little bit more intelligent says something and they go, well, this idiot might be onto something, I'm going to listen to them instead.
Assuming that the first idiot has the mental capacity to understand what the more intelligent idiot was saying.
They don't really need, and we see this a lot with, when someone like Milo turns around and throws a a statistic in, say a feminist's face, and they sit there with just this stunned look on their face, like, what is this you're even talking about? And it's the exact same shit they were just talking about 2 seconds ago.
It's not so much that. They're taught to parrot. They're taught to parrot, not to think.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. So they don't need to be able to comprehend what's being said to them.
Exactly.
They just need to be able to repeat it back.
Exactly. Which is why they're infinitely frustrated by people who go, hang on, that don't make sense. You're not supposed to, it's not supposed to make sense, you're just supposed to believe it. Listen and believe.
Yeah.
I'm always amused when people say that a person is incapable of murder. It's not possible to know if a person is incapable of murder. It's only possible to know if they are. Wikipedia, I believe everybody is capable of murder.
I was about to say, everyone's capable of murder.
It's just where their personal line in the sand lies.
It's as Mitch just put it, where is that line? What's going to make you snap? Everyone has that. Even the calmest person in the world has a point that will just break them, and they will do something they regret.
Or maybe not even that point where it actually breaks them. It's just everybody. Morals are not a defined thing. Everybody has their own set and variation of it. And if somebody, they might not actually snap, but if somebody comes towards their child with a gun with the intent to kill, I'm sure most people would have no problem with blowing that person's head off.
Yeah.
It's all circumstances. It's all where their lines are. What is right, what is wrong, what's morally acceptable, what is not. It's like I personally hope that I'd never ever find where that line is. And most people go through their life and never do.
I think most people would say the same thing. Let's hope we never find that line and have to cross it.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd kill someone, but there's a good chance that I might, I don't know, get a nail gun and nail their scrotum to a roof.
Look, as we said, everyone is capable of it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It is just a line in the sand, and once it is crossed, it's, the whole point of no return, basically.
Pretty much.
Up to that point, you have control, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, the control's gone. I'm just gonna beat this person's face until it's a bloody red plop, Fucking, don't worry, I'll wake up soon and I'll be able to English, I swear.
The thing is once you cross that line, what exactly are you at that point? Which is where I do kind of have a lot of sympathy.
On the run?
I do have a lot of sympathy for veterans because they go into the army all fresh-faced. Yeah, they know that possibly killing people is going to be part of the job, but until they've actually pulled the trigger and watched somebody's life go away, they don't understand it. And then after that point, I'm pretty sure that they become a completely different person.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not one of these people that goes on about, oh, life is sacred because I'm on a primetime TV show and I need to push that idea. I'm not that guy. I don't think that life is sacred. The only people that say that life is sacred are people that are alive. It's a biased point of view.
Generally, the people who aren't alive don't tend to say much at all.
Well, yeah, you haven't heard JFK say anything on the subject lately, have you?
Oh, dear.
Martin Luther King hasn't said anything lately.
Even Elvis is quiet on the subject.
I think the whole, life is sacred thing, it's a bit of a 50-50 there. It's, it's sacred because you've only got one shot at it, essentially. You can't really... You can fuck it up, you can come back from it, but there's only so many times you can fuck it up before that's it, you're done.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think life is sacred.
The worst outcome is it all gets taken away, so in that sort of retrospect, I could understand someone saying it's sacred. I don't necessarily think it's the right words to use, but
I actually
I
think
can
it's a
understand
very
what they're trying to say.
no, it's a very clever ploy, because it's one of those arguments that you cannot disagree with without coming across as a complete asshole.
I can. Well, I mean, I'm willing to.
Because no, life isn't sacred. At which point they then turn around and say, "Oh, so therefore you would be more than happy to put a bullet in my head." And no, that's not what it means. But then they just totally derailed the whole conversation and will then try and take it cross country.
If someone comes to me and says life is sacred, I tend to go prove it. And then yeah, they'll start throwing scenarios at me, and I'm like, you're not proving anything. I'm not asking you to hypothesize. Yeah. Prove your point.
It's one of those statements they lead off with because they know that it will control the conversation. And they don't have to actually prove it.
Until they meet me. And then when they can't prove it, they just learned a valuable lesson.
I mean, that's what social justice got really, really good at for a while, was controlling language to start off with a gambit that you really couldn't argue against until somebody figured out how to argue against it. At which point that person then had to be purged from the universe. I can't remember who it was. Milo gets most of his hate because he's got a knack of doing just that. It's not so much because of what Milo is saying, it's the fact that he takes them out with their opening gambit.
I honestly think this whole your social justice statement there comes back to what we were talking about before with the idiots. Idiots will listen to a smarter idiot. And not everyone knows big flashy words and how to use them properly, the context and everything like that. So they come in and they will make a super valid point, but it will be in layman's terms. And because it's in layman's terms, this university graduate who knows all these flash fucking words throws a whole lot of 4 and 5 syllable words in their face, and everyone around them goes, "Oh, listen to how smart he is. This guy can barely even use a 2 syllable word. You must be stupid." That's where they got good. They got good at just making it sound like they were intelligent.
Well, they're also very good at exploiting people who exercise shallow thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Idiots listening to idiots.
And they're also very good at taking the people who... I mean, back when I was younger, they would have been emos, they would have been goths, they would have been hermits and that sort. The people who are socially awkward and making them feel included. And once you make somebody feel included who never was before, you can tell them any fucking thing. And they will buy it hook, line, and sinker.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is another thing I think I've said to you guys a few times, where it's like, a lot of the social justice crowd don't necessarily believe in what's being fed to them. They just want to feel like they're part of something.
Yeah, it's part of the reason why over the last couple of years, the intersectional and the social justice have been making advances toward the pedophiles, because nobody likes them. But when the intersectional people give them a place that looks warm and cozy and safe and that they will belong, they'll go, okay.
And all of a sudden they have a bigger voice and they can...
They've increased their numbers. They don't particularly care about each one of those numbers things.
Well, let's be honest about that pedophile thing. All you need to do to be an accepted pedophile is to make a couple of good movies. Apparently, I mean, look at how many of those.
Your timing is lousy today, Mitch, because every time that you come out with a good one, I happen to be inhaling my cigarette, and I'm trying not to cough my head off.
Well, I think that's your timing. And look at how many of these assholes would would fucking wet themselves and then masturbate publicly to see Roman Polanski come back to the United States. And apparently that's all it takes. If I want to fiddle with kids, I'd better damn well make a couple of good movies first. You know, that's apparently all it takes.
It takes even less than that because the average Joe can do it. All you've got to do is parrot well for a period of time, and they will.
All you got to do is look at someone like Onision, right? Now, I'm not saying he's a pedophile, just to make it clear, but he does some really, really, really shady shit.
Yeah.
And people will go to bat for him because he's popular.
Yep.
Yeah,
there's a certain amount of fangirlism.
Yeah, exactly. The cult of personality. And it's the same as what's going on with the skeptic community right now. There are a lot of people jumping to bat for, the ones who are, under the lens and have drawn the attention of Medica. A lot of people are jumping to bat for him because cult of personality. How dare you attack this person that I really like? No. They are infallible. They can do no wrong.
Strangely enough, though, when it comes to Onision, I will actually back the guy up. I do have some amount of respect for him because the guy does drama and he does it well in a sustainable way.
Oh, look,
you've got to give him his dues for that.
Just look at the way he just nonchalantly just pushed Jeff to a point where he lost his composure and just started acting like a retard, and you could see the look on his face the moment Jeff just broke, and Onision has sat back in his chair, he has smiled, and the way he said, "There you go," it was just like, you slimy prick.
He did similar to Blair White last year.
He's done it to a lot of people.
Onision is very, very good at what he does.
Oh, yeah. Credit where credit is due.
Yeah. I don't like him. I think he's the slimiest prick ever, but I've got to give him credit. He knows his shit and how to do it.
I feel the same way about Keemstar. I don't like Keemstar. But credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
The man knows how to stir up a shitstorm.
The beard looks like it was attached to his face and not grown out of it.
It does, doesn't it? It's all like you'd never recognize him in the street because he's all clean shaven. He just puts the hat on, glues the beard on, and makes a video.
Yeah,
that's how he gets around in the real world. He doesn't have to fucking try and hide his face. He just takes the beard off.
The beard freaks me out. I cannot look at it because I no longer hear what he's saying. I begin questioning the beard.
Is there really a third fist on his chin?
Yeah.
Did you ever see any of Cy 10's videos where he's got Riley Dennis and the Adam's apple has got its own personality and talks every now and again? You kind of see that with Keemstar's beard. One of these days, it's going to gain sentience and be a co-host.
Yeah. No. It will gain sentience, and Keemstar will be the co-host.
I'm picturing that movie Kung Pao: Legend of the Fist.
Is that the one where he's got the mouth in his hand, isn't it?
No, he's got a face on his tongue.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Don't believe I've seen that.
Yeah. Oh, it's an older one now. It's been around for a while.
It's a goofy freaking movie, man. It is funny.
It is just.
You could probably just Kung Pao: Legend of the Fist on YouTube. I bet you can find a couple of outtakes.
Patriarch of the Sith.
Movie.
It's a trip. It's a fucking trip.
Moosecow Chicka Wow. Oh wow, I'm a porn star now. Moosecow Chicka Wow.
Exactly.
Oh god, I've got to grow one of them. I've now got to grow one of them terrible mustaches, and I'll have awful facial hair as well.
Oh god, the 70s porn mustache.
Yeah.
It's like the male version of 70s Bush.
Did you ever see the movie Bulletproof? It had Adam Sandler. It was one of his more serious movies, and I can't remember who the other guy was. Black actor.
Wayans.
I want to say no, it wasn't Wayans. I think it was Lawrence Fishburne or something like that.
No, wait. Lawrence.
But basically, there is just this one point in the movie that I will never forget, and they're sitting in a hotel room because he's got he's taken because the other guy was an undercover cop in a drug smuggling ring and shit like that, and he's taken Adam Sandler as the eyewitness and shit like that, and he's got him arrested, and they're sitting there, and he's on the phone to his wife, and Adam Sandler is watching the subscription porn, and he's like, man, this porno is from the 70s, and he's like, how do you know that? Because the dude's dick's got sideburns. Just I'll never forget that. It just stuck in my head forever. The moment someone says porn and 70s, I am straight to that. It's yep.
Right.
The dude's dick has sideburns. Cool. Okay. Yeah.
Well, my Christmas night was fairly wonderful, unless you happen to be the bottle of Jack Daniels I killed.
or its family.
Oh no, its older brother is still alive and well.
Yeah, but it has to live with the fact that you killed its brother.
Yeah, it's now an orphan. But,
sitting on the shelf, just waiting.
But I shall care for it like it's one of my own.
Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah. It'll be approaching me in the middle. Please drink me.
Just end this already.
At first, I thought you said stuck-on syndrome.
Stockholm.
A bit like Keemstar's beard.
Just. Yeah. Oh my god, that beard freaks me out, man. I don't know what the fuck that thing is. I wonder what planet it's from. Because that thing is not native to ours. I think it's meant to replace us.
I don't get the whole beard thing that's going on at the moment. Everybody seems to have them.
Oh, the epic beard thing? Yeah.
It's not even the epic beard thing. You see people wandering around with the most straggly looking facial hair you've ever seen, but it's the cool thing to have at the moment.
Yeah, here's my beard. Ain't it weird? Don't be scared, just a beard.
Because everyone, it's just a trend. Now, I have a beard. I'm lazy. I don't like shaving. It takes time. I go through 4 razors. I got really thick, coarse facial hair. So I don't want to shave. This is going to take me an hour just to try and get it clean. Fuck that. I'll just let it grow.
I'll buy you
and
a
it
Zippo.
It just so happens to suit me. So I'm like, stuff it. I'm sticking with the beard. But yeah, I think for a lot of people, it's the trend now. It's almost a hipster thing to have a beard.
Yeah. I just don't get it because I've never seen more bad beards in my life. I mean, I cannot grow a beard because I'm missing patches in the middle of my jaw, and it just looks stupid, so I just don't bother. But you get people who just, well, I've got patches missing in the middle of my jaw, and I look like a dickhead, but it's what everybody else is doing, so I'm going to do it too.
Yeah. Look, I remember a point there because I've always had facial hair. I've always, like I said, perpetually lazy. So ever since I could grow a beard, I've had a beard. I'll shave it off every once in a while because I feel like a change. But apart from that, I've always had it. And I remember at one point, 19 years old, working at the local TAFE as a groundskeeper, and one of the hairdressing instructors walks past, and she's like 40. And she looks at me and she's like, don't ever shave that off. She's like, more men need beards. It looks amazing. You're doing a good job. And, being 19, I was like, oh, yeah, cheers.
Now, if a woman compliments...
But, I think that's part of the whole thing is there was enough women going around going, oh, yeah, beards look amazing. That a whole bunch of people are going, well, if they like beards, I can grow a beard. Maybe this will get me a bit more attention. I really do think that is a big part of why you see more people.
I think there's kind of the mental arithmetic going, more facial pubes equals more pussy. And it probably doesn't work that way at all.
Yeah, look, for the ones who can't grow a beard to save their lives, God, no. I mean, if it looks horrible, it looks horrible. Yeah, no.
Anyway, I shall be back in a moment.
Right on. Just remember, when a woman compliments your beard, that is your opportunity to say, why, thank you, I grow it myself.
I grew it myself. No, it's at the point that, you know, I've got friends that I've known for 15 to 20 years now, you know, and they see me without facial hair and they're shocked. They are genuinely shocked. And I've got friends the same, you know, I've got friends that I've known for a long time, see them without a beard, and I'm like, don't you ever shave again. You look strange. Grow your beard back, keep it. Don't ever do this to me again. I don't like change.
Or I will find you in the dead of night.
Yeah, and I will glue pubes to your face. You know, but
yeah, it is a thing now. Everyone in their fucking beards. I mean, I've got one, but it's like you. It's because I'm too lazy to worry about shaving.
Yeah,
I don't care about it.
And I can grow a full beard. It's not like I've got one of these ones that's patchy and all over the place. It's a full beard. Whereas my housemate, he tries to grow a beard, and he, to his credit, he shaves because he cannot, for the life of him, grow a beard. But if he leaves it go for a while, you know, it'll grow out. He's being lazy, and it looks horrible. It does literally look like someone came along with a tube of super glue and the tubes that they shaved off their balls last night and just glued patches to his face. And
Patriarch of the Sith brings up a point that you never see anyone from the dark side with a beard. Only Jedi deal in facial hair.
No, proving you're wrong, Count Dooku.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Debunked, my man.
Yep.
There we go. That is more better.
Well, he tried.
But no, he is right to an extent. I mean, that's one out of how many? How many dark side characters have there been? You know, it's
1, 2, 3,
lots.
4. Vader, Sidious, Maul, Dooku.
Yep.
Baby Solo.
Yeah. You know, whatever, Snoke. You know, and then it depends on how much further you want to go back through everything as well, because there are the Sith characters that are technically, well, used to be part of the canon that aren't anymore because fuck you, I'm Disney.
Yep.
But you know, I don't know.
Oh, don't start me on Disney.
I don't know the logic behind that.
Well, I think I bet part of it is because, you know, an older person with a beard with the gray in it. Oh well, they look like they're old wise man. Old wise men should only be the good guys because they're old wise men. Rah. You know, that kind of fucking idiot thinking.
No, there's going to be a little bit of background noise going on, just as a fair warning for anybody on the channel.
What's that?
There's going to be a bit of background noise going on as a fair warning for anybody on the channel because it's coffee time.
Oh, there we go. That's another, you know, that would be another good way to make a Star Wars movie interesting. Because last time we did this, one of the things I suggested was a Jedi character who is not terribly strong in the Force.
Oh, yeah.
Having to work a hell of a lot harder, and you know, and that would actually be another interesting take for an opponent. Would be a dark Jedi or a Sith who is wise.
Well, I mean, that was the whole thing with your sort of Dooku character. Dooku was a very wise. No, he was a wise man. Every other Jedi would have admitted that, you know, and he was almost sort of polar opposite to Yoda, where they're both very close to the whole grey Jedi thing. They're just standing on the opposite sides of the fence, and if either of them had taken a step left or right, they would have been in the middle. You know, Dooku just left because he didn't like the way the Jedi were going and decided that, you know, there was a better way to do it, from my understanding of the way they wrote the character. And I mean, if that makes you a bad guy straight off the bat, is that necessarily a bad thing? You know, like, I don't agree with what these people are doing. I think they're doing it wrong. I'm going to go stand on this side for a bit and look at it from this side. I mean, even Luke Skywalker falls to the dark side at one point. Somewhere
in
between...
in the old canon.
Yeah, and it's somewhere between episode 6 and episode 7 that he falls to the dark side, because I think he falls to the dark side before he starts the new Jedi Order.
Oh yeah, I believe it was before the first Thrawn trilogy.
Oh,
No.
don't even... I wouldn't have a clue, you know, but I just know that he falls at one point, he becomes a Sith, you know, and he comes back, you know, and that's where the whole sort of, you know, Grey Jedi thing comes into it. He's not really by the... because I haven't seen the newest movie yet. I'm being slack. I need to go watch it. But, you know, my understanding of his character now is he's no longer really a Jedi. He's not a Sith, but he's not a Jedi. He is right down the middle. You know, he's been on both sides of the, you know, of the coin. Didn't like either side. He's walking the center line. You know,
yeah,
and that's what the Force is supposed to be, you know, that's where the balance in the Force is. That's why whenever they say it brings balance to the Force, is because they're supposed to walk the line. You know, it's just you walk straight down the center, you take from this side, you take from that side, you know, you put them both together and you end up with the Force. You know?
Yeah, a bit, but unfortunately, they never canonized the Grey Jedi. Or rather, Disney hasn't.
I think they are. I think that's what they're reaching for right now, is they're trying to canonize that. That's why they've got like the that book everyone keeps going on about, you know, the fuck. I can't remember it for the life of me now, but the Hollows or the Wisps or something. I can't remember what it is right now. Yeah, it's basically the way it was supposed to be. You know, this is how it's supposed to be before everything broke off and became dark side, light sides, you know, good, bad. You know. The wills, yeah.
I had to think about that for a bit.
God. I'm still trying to wake up, man. I've been awake now for 2.5 hours and I'm still sitting here bloody...
Well, I'm just trying to stay awake. It's easy to do because my neck is in enormous pain. As if someone stabbed it and used a winch on it to seal it back up, but went too far.
That doesn't sound pleasant.
I just think it would be it would be interesting to see a dark, or rather a Sith, who's not all mustache twirly.
Yeah.
Who exercises a lot of wisdom.
Yep.
You know, and then to be confronted by this Jedi who's weak in the Force, but is at the same time one of the most powerful Jedi, not because of his strength in the Force, but because of all the work he puts in.
Yep. See, this is where I liked the Old Republic stuff, you know, well before, you know, Luke and Vader and all that, because there was two definitive sides, you know, there was the Sith, there was the Jedi. But the lines were blurred. Some of the Jedi were really, really nasty pricks and just out for their own agenda.
Well, great characters are always far more interesting in general.
Yeah, some of the Sith were actually very caring people. You know, they went about it possibly the wrong way, depending on how you look at things, you know. But, you know, they had the right ideas, they had the right motivations, you know, they just started on this side.
Well, you know why the Sith, even when there's just two of them, are so far much greaterly more powerful than the Jedi? It's because the Sith actually try to do something.
Well, it comes down to the Sith code. Now, I can't remember it verbatim, but it's basically what is it? It's through power, through strength I gain power. Through power I gain this. With that, my chains are broken. You know, basically, it's like, you know, with power I will never be a slave. You know, so the whole thing for the Sith is to get stronger. The stronger you are, the more competent you are, the better you are to do, the right thing by your moral compass. Whereas the Jedi thing was much more passive. It's like, there is no this, there's just the Force. There is no this, there's just the Force. As long as I, am a pious, celibate.
Yeah, there is no passion, there is peace.
Yeah, exactly. So they embraced different parts of the Force. And because of that, the dark side users usually were more physically powerful.
The Sith were also far more effective.
Well, that's again.
Face it, if something came up, the Jedi would immediately discuss it. Whereas the Sith, if something came up, the Sith would address it.
They just go, something bad's come up. Okay, what are we going to do about it? Well, you're going to go over there and you're going to kick the shit out of it. Why me? Because I fucking told you to. Fair enough. I'm not the boss yet, so I'll go over there and I'll kick the shit out of it.
I mean, honestly, the Jedi Council should have been chucked physically from that tower.
Well, that was the whole thing with the prequels. It was showing that the Jedi Council had lost its way. And that's why you had characters like Dooku. Like I said, he had seen that the Jedi Council was, I don't want to say corrupt. I mean, there were obviously people in there that were corrupt. But for fuck's sake, Palpatine walked around beside their strongest users and they never once realized who he was.
Right.
Because their focus was no longer on doing the right thing.
The weird thing...
And
even
the people hated the Jedi Council.
No, their focus was inward rather than outward.
The weird thing is here, I mean, I've seen the original 3 Star Wars and that's it. I've not really watched anything else, so I'm not following half of what you guys are talking about. But just listening to you talk, you're basically talking about religions.
Yes.
It is. It's and that's the whole thing with the whole, Jedi and Sith, is that they're 2 different religions that believe in the same thing.
Yeah, they've just got different ways of getting from A to B.
It's like the difference between what's the perfect example? Really, any religion. Any religion has a god, usually has a tier of demigods or angels, and then has a tier below that. They have this identical structure.
That's basically Catholics and any other Christian religion.
Yeah. It's the exact same religion, but because they look at it a little differently, it's different.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing with the Sith and the Jedi,
exactly.
Is you've got 2 groups that do exactly the same thing. They are exactly the same, but they are just
the only real difference is this particular Sky Daddy gives you magical powers.
Well, see, that the funny thing about the Sith and the Jedi is I would argue that the Sith are not as evil as you would suppose, or as many would suppose, and the Jedi are not as good as many would suppose.
I'm not sure if it was film theorist, but I've actually seen a video that shows that I'm forgetting the names now. The rebels are actually the bad guys in the whole thing.
Again, it's a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on where you look at it from. I've had this argument with many people. It depends on where you pick up the story from. If you pick it up from before the Clone Wars, then the rebels aren't the bad guys. They're trying to take it back to the peaceful, prosperous system they had. Now, the Emperor had his own intentions for why he took over, and apparently, now this is from the old canon, so it's probably no longer canon, but apparently the whole thing is he knew something bigger was coming, and that under the Republic they wouldn't have survived, but under a single powerful leader dictatorship almost, they would have a fighting chance, and that's why he did what he did.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's one thing they never really explored in the movies is, once Palpatine gets his hands on the Republic and converts it to the Empire, what's next? All he did was sit there and go,
something dark side, something complete. Yeah, he just sat on his throne and told Vader what to do, and then Vader told everyone else what to do. You know.
When I was your age. Hi.
Yeah, it's you're right there, Aracor, that, depending on where you look at it from what part of the storyline you come into it, the rebels can be seen as the bad guys.
Well, if you want to look at it from this way, the Empire was basically, it was a functioning society. It might not have been particularly ideologically sound, but it was functioning. Everybody was getting on. It was prosperous. And then you get these bunch of misfits that go, well, we want the same thing, but we don't think you're doing it the right way. Our way is better, so we're going to cause havoc.
Left-wing militants.
Exactly.
And they've basically gone, we want a democracy, not a dictatorship.
Right.
And when you look at it from that perspective, you can sort of go, well, they're not necessarily the bad. It doesn't make them the good guys by any stretch of the imagination. But maybe more the lesser of two evils.
But when you look at it, the rebels caused chaos in the lives of millions.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. It's like the joke that gets around, the amount of people who died on the Death Star. They wiped out almost all of the 501st Legion, and that was a lot of men. Just gone in an instant. And a lot of those men and women had families.
Mm-hmm.
So the torment that they caused to so many people, it's one of those sorts of stories where you can sit there and just pick it apart and get down to the nitty-gritty of it all and really, really come up with some fascinating conversations.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Lopez. Shit. Hey, Mad Middleman. God damn. Lopez. God damn it.
Moosecow.
Oh, I've got the stupid.
Oh, excuse me.
Stupid.
See it, and that's again. If you did it right, okay. The prequel trilogy is about Palpatine's rise to power. The original trilogy would be about the rebels trying to knock Palpatine off his throne and return things to a more democratic society.
Yep.
Yes, system. But then the missed opportunity is that we have this new so-called trilogy, and I'm not buying for a second that that there's any plan, because clearly there's not. I mean, it's fucking J.J. Abrams started it, for Christ's sake. There's no plan. This could have been the thing that reveals what Palpatine was gearing up for.
Yeah. Absolutely. There was a lot of... See, and this is why a lot of fans said we're scrapping the extended universe, screeched autistically long into the night.
Yes.
Because the extended universe gave so much to it. I mean, there was cloning facilities where they were cloning Palpatine and Vader.
Yep.
And there were Dark Jedi and Sith who had now gained power, going out and destroying these cloning facilities. It wasn't the rebels, it was Sith. There was so much going on. And Jedi that just came out of nowhere, that used to be around, that just sort of disappeared into the night. They basically try to make it out with the movies that almost all of the Jedi were wiped out, and that Obi-Wan and Yoda were the last two surviving Jedi. No, not at all. There was tons of them that managed to slip through the gaps. And they've done a really good job, from what I've seen, with this the comics and the books they've been releasing to sort of fill the gap between 7. With new characters and old characters coming back.
Someone had to fill the gaps, because the likes of J.J. Abrams never will.
Yeah, but I mean, it gets more into Vader's transition, what Vader went through. You don't see the transition from Vader sort of still being Anakin to the point where he actually stops being Anakin completely and becomes Vader. You know, and that's a very long, painful transition for him. You know, you go from the Anakin you see in the prequels, who is this guy who would do anything to protect his men, to, you know, episode 4, The New Hope, where one of the first things you see him do is choke out one of his own men. Just,
I think
you were insignificant to
it's
me.
It's definitely a case of absolute power corrupts absolutely, but you didn't see how he got to that absolute power, which
it wasn't actually a case. From what I understand, it wasn't a case of absolute power corrupting. It was just the trauma from everything that happened in the prequels leading up to, you know, The New Hope was enough to break a good man. You know, it's like the whole, you know, a man, he has a family, he has a wife and kids, he has a good house, and then everything starts going wrong. And he goes from being successful and having everything he ever wanted to living on the streets and being suicidal. It's the exact same sort of thing, except Vader ended up in a position of power because of it. But it's the same sort of transition, you know, he lost everything. Lost it all.
There's another thing I never understood when it came to the Clone Wars. Not the movie, but the Clone Wars in general.
Yep.
I never understood why the Jedi were made generals.
Yeah, and this is another problem with the Jedi. They were never supposed to be. But because they were so powerful, they were put in a position of power. And this is part of the whole, you know, like I said, Dooku going, they've lost their way, they're becoming corrupt. And it's the same as Anakin. Anakin goes the same way as well. You know, he sees the corruption within the Jedi, and he takes it a bit further and tries to kill them all, and does a pretty damn good job of it. But
it's just that, look, the Jedi sat around and did nothing except for, you know, drink their tea and have their conversations.
Yep.
And, you know, ooh, look at us, we're fucking around with the Force. Whoop-de-doo. Okay. Along comes this clone army, falls into the lap of the Republic to fight off the droid army.
Yep.
And really, the droids felt like dominoes no matter what, so you didn't need the clone army. But anyway, here comes the droid army. And the clones are dropped into the Republic's lap. And they said, hey, let's make these guys who sit around and do nothing into generals. I mean, even in episode 1, it was made clear that no one's encountered a Sith since forever.
Yep.
You know, so why are we putting these paper generals into positions of authority and responsibility and power?
Because raisins?
Raisins? The California ones?
Yeah.
Yes, those ones.
I heard it through the grapevine.
I see, these cunts should never have been put into that kind of position.
Unless they were honorary positions that just kind of eventually accumulated more actual power.
Well, honestly, I would say that being put into that kind of position of authority as a general, and so many of the Jedi being put into that position, that could be part of Palpatine's plan to
destabilize. It was part of his idea to basically...
It's like an inverted pyramid.
Well, it was negative PR.
Well, there's that, but it's also like, you know, that they have a very small foundation, and yet they keep growing upward and outward like an inverted pyramid. Eventually, it's going to topple.
Give my enemy a seat at the table, and it will help unite everybody.
Yeah.
Because, again, as far as my understanding goes, before the Clone Wars, the Jedi were still fairly respected by the public because, you know, well, by the populace.
Well, yeah, because they were keepers of the peace.
Yeah, they were peacekeepers and diplomats. You know, they went about and they, you know, they may have used force to, you know, and I don't mean force as in the magical space daddy powers. I mean force as in brute force to stop the bad guys from doing bad things. But for the most part, they tried to, you know, resolve it peacefully, make sure everything was amicable, and moved on. And then all of a sudden, they've gone from being peacekeepers to warriors, and a lot of the populace went, no.
I've just had the most disturbing mental image joke going on, and it's
Oh,
just
boy.
amusing me. Who's your space daddy?
Who's your space dad?
I mean, it's just too much that it took a mustache twirler like Palpatine to topple the Jedi and the Republic when it should have been a really interesting Sith to do it.
Well, I mean, they had to put Palpatine there, didn't they? Because he was already a. And again, this is part of the problem with the prequels, is that nothing sort of, surprised anyone. Maybe the newer generation who hadn't seen movies yet. God, and then Dad's like, I knew that was coming already. Everyone knew that Anakin was going to kill fucking Padme at some point. Everyone knew that he was going to fall to the dark side. Everyone knew that Palpatine was, Darth Sidious, because in the 4th, 5th, and 6th movie, he is called Emperor Palpatine. So the moment someone walks in and goes, oh, my name's Senator Palpatine, you're like, oh, bad guy.
I know who you are.
Yeah, there was no surprise. And that's why they had to rely so heavily on all the effects and stuff, and make it grand.
They could have done the stories a lot better. All you have to do is look at Columbo, because you knew the ending before the show even started.
Well,
it was the getting there.
Columbo opened with the commission of the murder and the details on how the murder was committed. So the show wasn't about Columbo solving the crime. It was about Columbo entrapping the killer.
Yeah.
And again, that kind of thing would have done Star Wars a lot of good.
Yeah.
Especially now.
One other big complaint I've heard about the prequels was the casting for it. There was a lot of characters where they're just like, look, the guy who ends up playing teenage Anakin. He's not a bad actor. Yeah, but he wasn't right for the role.
No.
They could have done so much better. And there were some characters that were bloody perfect. But others that was just like, no, what are you doing? There are better people out there for this role. See, and it's almost like they just sort of went, we just need to get this going now so we can just pump these out and make money.
See, what bothers me with Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu, he said to Lucas that he doesn't want to go out like a bitch. Well, he went out like a bitch.
He went out like a bitch.
He really did.
I
mean, he was corrupted too. You could tell, because he was willing to commit murder, kill Palpatine instead of having him stand trial.
Well, again, he was one of those ones, and this is actually, I'm getting sick of saying this, in the old canon, that walked the line between the light and the dark. He had been there, he had come back. He was not a good man. He was just very powerful. He was the most skilled with a lightsaber. No one could outdo him in
bad choreography notwithstanding.
Yeah, exactly. Story-wise, he was, that he was the one, the swordsman.
Gilbert Godfrey would have
made a great Darth Maul. Well, he certainly would have had more to say.
You heard about how the guy who actually ended up playing Darth Maul got his role?
No.
He was originally the choreographer for the combat scenes.
Ah. That doesn't surprise me, because Ray Park does that.
Yeah, they had another man who was going to be Darth Maul, and this guy came in to show them, okay, this is what you're going to be doing, this is what you're going to learn, and they just went, why are we wasting our time teaching this cunt when this cunt over here is going to have all of 3 speaking lines and is just going to jump around like a fucking monkey the whole time?
Yeah.
Fuck it. You've got the role. And I mean, that's another big thing they missed out on. Honestly. 2 of the most interesting characters that they put in the series were killed in the first movie. And that's Qui-Gon Jinn and fucking Darth Maul.
I don't know. I wasn't convinced about Qui-Gon Jinn.
Qui-Gon was another one who was basically a grey Jedi. He knew that there was issues within the system, that it needed reform, but he wasn't going to turn to the dark side to do it. He was
If
going to
you
do
would
his own
just listen
thing.
to this, he'd be on the council yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck that. They're a bunch of retards. I'm not listening to them. You know? And Darth Maul, like...
I just didn't like the portrayal. I didn't like the way Qui-Gon Jinn was written. Some of the things he did were really, really shifty and wrong.
Yeah, but they were supposed to be shifty because he was in no way... He basically, the way they tried to write him was that he was a Jedi by name only.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he had a title and that was it. Apart from that, he wasn't a Jedi. He wasn't a good guy. He knew he wasn't a good guy. He knew that there was times that he needed to dip into the other side to make sure he could win this fight.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
In fact, it would have been interesting to see things come to a head between him and Mace Windu.
Oh, just between him and anyone.
I mean, again, at least his choreography was pretty good. I mean, Windu's was, Sam Jackson's choreography was shit. Palpatine, or what's his face? The guy who played Palpatine, that choreography was shit too. And oh god, there was a lot of the choreography that was just plain bad, especially in the Clone War, the Attack of the Clones.
There was a lot of potential that was just completely ignored. You know, it just they could have done some amazing thing with some of the characters they had. But they wasted their chance.
But it would have required the viewer to think. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, and that is another part of the escalation that we see right now. You know, ever since The Force Awakens, it's just been a...
Well, I'm pretty sure that's part of the reason why J.J. Abrams has become so, I don't know if popular is the right word, not with the audiences, but with the...
No,
with the studios. Is because there's no thought involved. It's explosions here, lens flares there. There's no real plot. It's just all mindless action.
Yeah. Did you see the meme I shared the other day that basically is just on point? I'm going to put it in shooting this shit again. And this is amazing. So just bear with me a sec. I've got to get it off the phone. So, come on now. Come on. Load up.
I mean, it's kind of what we was talking about a couple of shows back. The art of storytelling in movies seems to be a rarity these days instead of the norm.
Yeah, actually, it really is. Unless, I'll tell you what, the last few Star Wars films probably cost $200 million and more to make. Okay, now here's how you make a Star Wars movie with a good story right from the get-go. All you have to do is cut the budget down to $50 million, and and that will force them to write a good movie.
I put the meme in Poppycock and Balderdash or something like that. I'm only getting the first two letters, so. But yeah, it's something I've been saying for years. You know, the movie Idiocracy.
Oh, starting out as a comedy and turning into a documentary.
Becoming a documentary, you know, and it's pretty freaking accurate. Like, and it's sad to say, but it's pretty on point. You know, it's a little bit gradually devolving. You can go back a few years and find movies that had, you know, you can tell intelligent people wrote this and put a lot of effort into this, you know, and then all of a sudden you look at movies now and it's all very generic.
Formula.
You know?
Oh, yeah. I'll give you the best example I've got is the Star Trek original series episode Space Seed. Watch that and then watch Star Trek Into Darkness.
I still haven't bothered watching it, eh? It's on Netflix and everything. I see it and I'm like, oh, nah.
Yeah, which one?
Discovery. Still just haven't bothered watching any of it, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
I may actually sit down and watch the pilot once everything down here is all sorted again. I'm still doing stuff to get it back to a livable standard. So
Evil Gummy.
It will piss you off.
Evil Gummy. For that very reason, I hope that Dark Tower does win all the Oscars. Because burning Hollywood down and rebuilding it is kind of
Might be the
definitely
only
needed
cure.
at the moment.
Take a few of those pedophiles with it.
And Tom Cruise.
I mean, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not a great one for saying I want to watch the world burn, but there are some things that really do need to be burned to the ground and rebuilt.
Well, there needs to be part of something like a purge.
I don't necessarily want to watch the world burn either, but sometimes these sorts of things need to happen. Again, coming back to the, the lesser of two evils.
Well, it's like a forest.
Do we let the bad thing continue happening, or do we allow the bad thing that will change the bad thing to happen and possibly give us some good?
Well, there's a parallel in nature, though. They had a point where I think it was the redwood forests. They'd stopped growing, and the reason they'd stopped growing is because we got too good at preventing forest fires. They actually needed the forest fires to burn parts of it down so that it could become stronger.
Oh, it's like a lot of the native fauna here needs bushfires to be able to spread the pollen and everything else, And,
well, yeah, especially with many of the trees, you need that kind of heat to crack open the shell so the seed will grow.
Yeah, exactly. And so for the most part, if a bushfire happens, they'll go to a point and they will contain it there. But they won't try and put the whole thing out. They'll just let it burn. Just let it go. Let it do its thing. If it gets too close to, a populated area, then we'll do something about it.
Yeah.
But until that point, let nature take its course.
And I think a similar sort of thing needs to happen with some of these establishments. Universities over in the United States, Hollywood in the entertainment industry. They just need purged by fire. Or whatever the metaphoric equivalent of fire is.
Yes. I mean, I wonder, because there are some with the how do I say this? With the sexual abuse nonsense in Hollywood. Now some of these women have traded sex to be famous, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
And men. Let's face it.
Does that make them sexually predatory?
I suppose in a technical measure it would.
I think the shoe fits on both feet there. If someone is willing to let someone use sex to expand their career, then they're just as...
They're sexual...
I don't want to say bad, but for lack of a better term, they're just as bad as the person who did it.
Well, they're doing two things. One, they're being sexually predatory. And two, they're using what God gave them to build what they can from it.
Yes.
I mean, and this is... When you get people who are like, oh, the porn industry, it's disgusting. What's disgusting about it?
It's honest.
You have sex. You enjoy sex, don't you? Well, yeah. Well, so do they. And they're making money out of it. And these people go through some pretty rigorous shit to make sure that they're clean and that their partners are clean and all that sort of stuff. It's not like they're just going to a party, throwing the condoms in the bin and fucking anything willy-nilly.
They're good-looking girls that know that they've got the looks going on and they don't mind their vag being on display.
Right.
Is it for me, being in the porn industry? No. I wouldn't do it.
He hasn't got the mustache for it.
I'd love to be in as a writer.
But... Yeah, look. I've had some great times. You're sitting down with friends, and you're talking about porn, and then you're talking about something else, and you come up with something like the Sperminator. Terminator with sperm, and then you're like, okay, we need to write a script for this, and then you come up with the cheesiest shit, and you know damn well that it's something that would sell because people would be like, you look at the Pirates of the Caribbean,
I'll be bareback.
That came out. Yeah, exactly that sort of shit, And I could write in the porn industry for like the porn parodies till the cows came home.
Well, see,
actually,
if I were writing porn, it would not be cheesy. I would write like a psychological thriller that would have pornography elements in it, and it would be it would probably end up being quite disturbing. I mean, it would certainly be X-rated.
Isn't that the same thing they said about 50 Shades of Grey?
Wait, what?
Are you robot?
Isn't that the same? Yeah, it just dropped out a bit. Isn't that the same thing they said about 50 Shades of Grey? It's not porn. It's a psychological thriller.
No. See, I wouldn't lie
No,
about
it's just trash.
Yeah, 50 Shades of Grey is just high school girl masturbatory garbage.
Yeah, nobody in the BDSM community would
like,
endorse it in any way.
Yeah. Maybe more like Lonely Housewife BS trash.
Yeah, that's all it is.
No, I mean, with the way I would do it, let's say a psychological thriller. Let's say that there's a serial rapist on the loose.
Hide your cornflakes.
What?
Hide your cornflakes.
I would not hide the rape. You know, because for one thing, that's going to get a rise out of an audience. And that's going to be instant notoriety. It's good marketing. But I would still try to have a solid story behind it too, instead of just the thing where a guy shows up to deliver a pizza and gets laid. You know, I would actually make it. I would want to make an adult film, and when I say adult film, I don't mean necessarily X-rated, but a film that deals with adult themes,
but has
film. That X rating because it's dealing with some very adult themes.
Yeah.
That's the kind of pornography I would write. Not torture porn where it's all splatter. You know, where it's not a gore fest. Nothing like that.
It's just honest.
Again, that's right. You know, no great speeches. You know, the good guys don't always win. It would be just an honest story.
Yep.
And yeah, there's some people who get hurt and get killed, but that doesn't mean it has to be, 50 gallons of blood for a paper cut.
Every bad thing that happens does actually serve a purpose, not just there for gratuitous gore. And it's
right.
Yeah.
But I want those bad things to be front and center. Because like I said, it's a business decision. It's good marketing. You'll get all the church groups having their fucking fit.
Which is free advertising.
Yes. So that's gonna put asses in seats. And then all the other moral supremacists out there, everyone on the left will have a fucking cow. A Moosecow, no doubt. And shit, it's a win. It's a win-win.
We'll be going back to like the late 70s where you had films like The Exorcist that are so controversial they get banned, which immediately puts them in cult status anyway.
Well, yeah, exactly. My film would get banned just because I wouldn't shy away from the harsh reality.
And that would be its single
greatest
achievement.
It may not even involve rape.
Because that would be where the snowball forms.
I think that's a big thing
worse
that's missing in Hollywood these days too, is the harsh realities. No one wants to.
Well, yeah, there are no adult-oriented films. They're all aimed at not just children, but stupid children.
Well, I find that a lot these days. I mean, you look at kids' films. There's always something adult in there. They're throwing in all these adult jokes that the kids may not necessarily understand.
They're using the family. They're using the Family Guy method there. They basically discovered that with Family Guy, you can write something for kids, and The Simpsons did it very well as well. Is you can write something that's mostly for kids, and you can throw things in there that will go totally over the kids' heads, but the adults will be going, hey, yeah, that was good.
Well, they'll be going, oh shit, which was my thing when I hit about 16, 17 and went back and watched a whole lot of Simpsons I hadn't seen in years.
Oh yeah, there's loads in there.
Oh shit! And I'm sitting there going, this is why Mum didn't want me watching this. Yeah,
but that's also how you spot a well-written film is. No matter who it's aimed at, there's something for everyone in it.
Yeah, and you can go back years later and actually pick up things,
You go back years later, it's a totally different film.
Yeah.
And see, that's the thing I would do with my film is I would not use it to infantilize the audience. It's not a movie for infants. It's not a family friendly film. Not by any stretch. You know, it's dirty and it would probably take place in a pretty area too, because that's my sense of how things are. I would have it be like in a nice middle class neighborhood
The
with
darkness.
some really seedy shit
Yeah.
going on.
The dark side of paradise. That sort of. Yeah.
And you know, the perpetrators and the victims in this film would both be guilty of sweeping everything under the rug for the sake of appearance.
Mm.
That's the kind of thing I would try to get across. And I think it would be a more interesting movie. You know, it'd be a more interesting story as a result. You know, give me a $50 million budget. It'll probably pull in, you know, $500 million. And boom, I'll retire. You'll never have to hear from me again, Hollywood.
Make a quick buck. Fuck off to the Himalayas.
Yeah.
Hide.
Well,
Live
not
out
the
your life as a
Himalayas.
hermit. Hey,
I
you
already
know.
lived the life of a hermit. That's why I'm always on a live stream. Speaking of
It's like
which, this hermit's needing a nap.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to try
I
sooner
was
or
just
later.
actually looking to see.
Time for a nanny nap.
Oh yeah, we've done 4 hours, so I think we can quite
Oh, yeah, we have.
safely we can quite safely calm
Alright.
this one and say we've done our bit for the entertainment of the mass.
Yes.
Masses is when you get into double digits. Until then, you're just a mass.
I agree. Or when you're at church. And this would make one hell of a weird church video.
Hey man, there's a flying spaghetti monster out there. I think we'd be on the, we'd be on the all right here.
Could be.
I mean, for fuck's sake, they wear colanders on their heads. Come on.
Oh, don't worry, fuckwad. We're cutting out here now. Since you just got home from work. That's how, you know.
Yeah, we was waiting for you to arrive to end things.
Yeah.
Build up your hope. You
Lesbians,
get
dildo
back, you're like,
gang.
yeah, they're still running. And then it's like, now we're going. Suck it, bag.
This episode will be available later in the foyer.
Yeah. Or in the basement.
Giggity.
Yeah.
Anyhow, for those of you in listening land, we will catch you all later. For those of us here, we're going to get even dirtier now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Thanks
by
a lot for
dirtier,
watching.
I mean, I'm going to have the first wet dream in 35 years.
That's more than I needed to know. It's going to be like Old Faithful going off.
Just
every 35 years, I get an erection and know what to do with it.
anyone in close proximity to Mitch, just watch out.
We'll be passing out
with,
umbrellas in the lobby.
It'll be like that scene at the end of the original Ghostbusters where they successfully explode the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
It's Miller time.
With head.
Oh, Jesus. No head, just the.
Anyway, where's the buttons? Where's the buttons? There they are.
I
I
don't know.
don't fucking know.
Right.
There was,
Thank you all for joining. If you want to know when we're on next, we haven't got a fucking clue. So therefore, you need to subscribe and hit the little bell.
I haven't used the word hump since I was fucking 12 years old, Gunny. I gained experience and I started using proper language like fuck.
Fuck. Sometimes only a fuck will do. Anything else just sounds amateur.
Humping is reserved for the pillow during said wet dreams.
You know, I'll use euphemisms like feeding the cat.
Oh, poor kitty.
Aracor, hit the button.
Hitting the button because it's getting silly
I
now.
will only continue.
Later.